Hello and welcome everyone to stage 2 of the Cosmic Crown Showdown. I know there's currently some issues being worked right now, so please bear with us as they try to address those issues. Neo is working on it right now, talking to Kyle, so hopefully we'll have some kind of answer for you for the tournament. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Adam Takata, aka The Snake. I'm joined by Paul Spencer, a.k.a. Infamous Neo, who is currently speaking with Kyle, so probably not here to respond. And Patrick Sarmiento, a.k.a. Hacky, will be bringing you coverage today. Hacky, how are you?
And it's morning. It's day 2. And we've got a crazy format.
Yeah, so we understand there is an issue with the deck building and the champion selection. Again, Neo is working on it. Definitely save what you got, and then yeah, I don't know what the outcome is going to be, and I apologize that you guys are having some issues, but hopefully they will be rectified shortly, and some kind of solution will come to bear from Hex Entertainment. So again, for those who are joining us today for the tournament, remember this was an invite-only tournament for the top 64 players in the limited and constructed ladder. This is a 2-stage tournament. Yesterday was stage 1. 108 players competed in stage 1. Only 8 advanced to today for the stage 2 of the draft. Yes, the draft portion. We will hopefully rectify that. In case there wasn't anybody able to make it, the 9th and 10th players from stage 1 were able to jump in and play in stage 2 for today. As far as prize breakdown, first place is going to be that $2,000 and the Cosmic Crown Showdown animated sleeve. So of course everybody trying to vie for that first place prize, $2,000, and that beautiful animated Cosmic Crown Showdown sleeve. Everybody here is in the money. Second place will walk away with $1,000. Third and fourth place will walk away with $500 each, and 5th through 8th will walk away with $250. So definitely some great prizes. Everybody is going to be walking away with some money, but all players definitely trying to secure that first place spot, walk away with that $2,000, and most importantly, the beautiful, beautiful sleeve. So while Neil is working the situation, let's take a look at our top 8 players from yesterday, stage 1. Coming in at number 1, we have Sadistic, who was playing Takahiro. He qualified for the Cosmic Crown Showdown via Constructed. Dumbledorko playing Dreaming Fox, also qualified Constructed. Tepeezy with that Ivan Slagpot, also qualified in Constructed. I know yesterday I put Limited, but it's actually in Constructed. Number 4, we have Steward with Torque Slamstick. He qualified both in Limited and Constructed, so probably a serious contender there. Definitely has to be on your game to make top 64 in both Limited and Constructed within the season. Furzin at number 5 playing Ivan Slagpot. He qualified via Limited. Novocaine playing Kagalichu, the only Kagalichu player here. Qualified via Constructed. Yasi, Ivan Slagpot, qualified in Limited, and Icecon with Takahiro qualified via Constructed. So, Hacky, what do you think about these players? Who do you like? Do you think the Limited players who qualified in Limited have a little bit more of an advantage? Does Steward have an advantage being qualified on both Limited and Constructed? What are your thoughts about our players today?
The skills that get you to this point in Constructed are also the skills that help you do well in Limited play. It is a bit of an advantage to have qualified in Limited. You know your stuff to get into the Cosmic Crown Showdown. But as it tends to be in trading card games, the tournaments reward prowess in both Constructed and Limited formats, pretty much whatever format the happens to be at the time. So while I know Yasi is a strong drafter, I'm sure Furzin, Steward, Alk also pretty good at this Limited format. That is not to say that Sadistic, Dumbledorko, Tepeezy, Novocaine, Icecon aren't also equally good at draft. So it really can be anybody's tournament.
All right, so let's take a look at some data from yesterday. So these were the top 10 champions from the tournament yesterday. As you can see, Dreaming Fox still here at number 1. Actually went up 8 spots here, or eight more decks to 26 decks included. The matches won, though, went down a little bit here to 48.5%, about a 3.6% drop here. Ivan Slagpot also seeing some love. So Dreaming Fox and Ivan Slagpot, definitely huge champions here, going up 6 decks from 10 to 16. The match win rate going down a little bit here. Actually, well, 9.6% to 52.5%. Torque Slamstick up 6 spots as well, or 6 decks with 15, with a slight loss and 7.2% in win rate. Takahiro seeing some love, and we saw that yesterday in the tournament, seeing 5 more decks from the last ECS up to 13, and the win rate jump up as quite a bit as well, up to 58.3%. Bloodspinner Zorath at 4 included decks, so up to 9 with a 6.7% increase. Winter Moon seeing a little bit of less love, going down from 8 to 5, but we saw some strong Winter Moon decks, especially from JJ yesterday. Win rate dropping just a little bit at 1.6%. Bishop Elijah dropping a lot. A lot of people getting out of Bishop Elijah from the last CCS. We see it drop down to 4 decks with a 3.1% change in win rate to 50%. We see Ixo the Primeval. Actually, nobody played Ixo in the previous tournament. So 4 decks with Ixo. And no change there. Just there wasn't any data from last CCS because it was at 44.4% for this one. Puck and Balthazar seeing a little bit more love, seeing 3 decks. Last tournament we only had 1 player play Puck and Balthazar. So Puck and Balthazar.
What an idiot that player must have been.
Puck and Balthazar. And we see an increase here of about 58 or 4.2% to 58.3. And then Kagalichu not getting as much love, down from 5 decks to 3. And a win drop percentage of about 2.7%. So what do you guys think of this list? Anything surprise you, shock you?
It's a story. You can definitely tell from last CCS that since 2 months ago, since this tournament since this format started becoming more explored, that the decks that are doing well, Dreaming Fox, Ivan Slagpot, Torque Slamsticks inheriting the Angus Mono Ruby, those established decks going into this format, they have proven that they are successful. But along with their increase in number of decks in the field, as this format is more played, players are going from their brews into more established, their win rates actually for those 3 decks are actually all down. An indicator that the players in this tournament have those 3 decks in their sights: Mono Ruby, Redlings, and Dreaming Fox Diamond Sapphire Control. And you can see that in Takahiro's massive increase in win rate, as those decks, the Deathcry style being discovered, refined, and taking its place in its meta, with the Hex Bashes and other constructed tournaments also helping that. Winter Moon and Puck and Balthazar were some of our new decks that we've seen, that we hadn't seen as much in the past few weeks. Also, kind of taking a little bit of Kagulichu's popularity, putting that into Takahiro. And you can especially see the Takahiro deck's massive increase in match win percentage, reflective of the Deathcry deck, Blood and Wild, maturing in this format.
Yeah, for Ixo, from 0 Ixo is very interesting. It leads me to believe that maybe a play group or a team have decided that's what they were going to run this time around. Because it's quite a stretch for 4 independent players to pick up Ixo the Primeval. So maybe that's what's going on there. But I guess with Hex PvP tools, maybe it's something they saw on the ladder running around as well. And I'm really happy that we did see some new stuff this time around. The Diamond Wild Puck and Balthazar deck was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, that was.
But yeah, I mean, up the top is exactly what we expected, and I guess Zorath being 5th is a little bit of a surprise, but we don't see a Zorath in the top 8, so
yeah. All right, so we are currently looking for our next match. Along with that, though, Neo, do you have any updates or information?
Not as of yet.
All right.
I believe the players live in the draft are still in deck building phase.
They are. It looks like, yeah. Or no, I think they were. Are they done? Are they still doing deck building?
I do not see any matches currently going.
Yeah, I don't see the pairings either. Yasi, Novocaine, if you guys are in chat, just curious to know if you guys have paired up. No, we are playing. Okay, so that's...
All right, no, I see them. That's my client not updating.
Okay. All right, so yeah, so we're currently waiting. We started purposely to 30 minutes later because there is the draft portion along with the deck building portion, which obviously took everyone's time because there was an issue with the client and actually saving everyone's proper champions and gems and stuff. So, yeah, we apologize. Neo has addressed the issue, has talked to Kyle. Hopefully we can find some kind of resolution for you guys.
But I just have word now that what's going to happen is a new draft is going to be started with the correct setup for champions and gems, which is unfortunate, but people have probably built decks specifically with champions in mind. You can't really run a Puff deck without Puff. You can't really run an Eclipse deck without Goot. I mean, you can, but I mean, it's a big factor when you're building your decks. So the best course of action is probably to start anew, shake the Etch-a-Sketch, and go from there. It is unfortunate, but these players are good enough that they can brush this off as if it were nothing.
And I would assume that they would rather have a fresh draft than work with decks that they were building around with a champion and not have the full potential. So at least this way they can draft and know that the champions and gems they were going to use are going to be available. So yeah, at least that is. I know it sucks for them to have to take the decks that they have and just put them aside. But like you said, these are all professional players who are well skilled and will be able to bounce back from this. So just for an update, Neo just said, if you're just joining, they are going to be doing a new draft for the top 8. So you guys will be redrafting, and then we will go into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and ultimately the finals to crown our next champion. So I don't know if you guys are going to be getting individual messages or if the tournament will just stop and you guys will get another ticket to join top 8. So just stand by and work with us, and we will get you the information as much as possible. Is when we get it. Lix will message you to drop. Okay, so if you're getting a message that you need to drop from the tournament from a noble, preferably... Oh, Paladon's here, yeah. So, yeah, I see his message in chat as well, so... Okay, yep. So if Lixel told you to drop, yeah, it looks like the tournament already got to the finals. Everybody's dropping. So if you are in the tournament, go ahead and drop out. So it looks like the only 2 left are Stewart and Tepezy. Please drop from the tournament, and they will get you a new ticket and get you guys squared away. Hats off to the Hex guys, definitely addressing the issue as quickly as possible on a Sunday to make sure that you guys can get this stuff going. So looks like the tournament is closed, so hopefully they'll be starting up a new one. So that means we have a little bit more time to go, because now we're going to have an additional 30 minutes plus of deck building, drafting and deck building. So
it's probably going to be longer. In the CCS draft, with so much on the line, it really benefits the players to take as much time as necessary to go over, double check, triple check your draft picks. It's an experience.
So it looks like what we can do in the meantime is cast some Clash matches until the Bash, or till the CCS comes up. So that is what we're going to do. So we can give you guys at least some coverage of some of the Clash today while we're waiting for these guys to finish drafting and deck building. And then, yeah, we should be good to go. Stewart needs his cosmic crown sleeve taken away, Yasi says. Okay. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll work it out. I'm sure they'll work it out, Yasi.
Just win the second draft and you'll be all good.
Have you found it yet?
I'm looking. Here we go.
So we're going to bring you Neo's match from the first round of the Clash. Neo is very, very skilled. He can cast and play in the Clash and sing a little dance, or sing a little song and do a little dance at the same time. So we're going to...
Multifaceted.
We're going to bring you...
What I am.
that.
Infamous Neo casting match from Infamous Neo.
Yeah, actually, that would be pretty good to give us your thought process as you're going through this and be like, so this is what I was thinking. So,
here we are, one fantastic player versus some unknown.
All right, so we're bringing you a little bit of Clash coverage. So if you're just joining us, guys, we are waiting for the draft to refire for the top 8. So we'll bring that to you as soon as it comes live. So it's probably going to be at least about 35, probably about an hour. Let's just do it that way. So looks like we have Lakos Polan versus Infamous Neo playing Soaring Talon. Lakos Polan playing Cassia Golden Light. I'll speak on Lakos' hand here. So he's got Pocket Army there. The Duskwing, running Silent Sentinel, Execute, Light of Dawn, Diamond Shard, and a Blood Shard. Neo, what are you working with here?
I got a Eldritch Thunderbird and a Mindcaller and 5 shards.
All right, so keeping
shards.
that 5 shard hand. Let's see what Neo's doing here, round 1.
Winning all the way.
That Pocket Army is a potential 1-card win condition if it's not answered early. A 1/1 with a 1-shot that creates a Pocket Army, puts it into your hand, and it has cost and attack and defense equal to the number of Pocket Armies you have, plus that. Plus 1.
I drew another Thunderbird there.
I saw
Nice draw.
I saw that. So Lako's here with a Duskwing Scout. That Pocket Army just hanging out here is going to swing in for 1. Ping Neo. No, not going to swing. No swing. Fair enough.
Gotta get those new Pocket Armies.
Yeah, I guess so.
Here we go. We see a Diamond Shard from Neo. Just a fantastic play there. And Eldritch Thunderbird to follow. Also fantastic.
Pocket Army is a bit of an interesting play, especially early. It has the potential to dominate your early plays if you just concentrate on that Pocket Army. If you want to curve in your other troops, other cards, it will take a bit. And at this point, yeah, just playing the second Pocket Army is fine.
Double Thunderbird here for Neo.
You know what they say, a bird in the hand is worth 2 on the field.
Is that what they say?
They do. And I have both.
Daybreak Diviner?
Thunderbirds. Oh. Thunderbirds. Valuable in the air, not blocking the 1/1 Pocket Army.
Mindcaller there. I believe I reduced the cost of that Runic Strike so I can use it this turn. Such skill. Never before seen skill.
Expect no less from the recent Exalted. Big damage though with those Thunderbirds there. Initiative Wax for Lakos. Going to swing with the 2/2 Pocket Army. Mind Collar will step in the way. Health totals are still equal. Pocket Army going to come out again. And going to revert the original Pocket Army.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice play. Deathless Devoted and Pocket Army is a cute little combo.
Swing here for 4. Lakos decides to block one of them. Going to take 2. Take out one of the Thunderbirds. Frost Rock. 3/5. Flyer in the field for Neo.
You may be asking yourself, why Soaring Talon when all of your cards are flyers, Neo? You'll see.
All right, so Lakos here with a Blood Shard now up to 4 resources. Couple of options here. Going to see Champion Power for Illuminate. We'll create a Candlekin. Runic Decay. Going to target that Thunderbird. Health totals back to 21 apiece. Even all. Here we go. Back to Neo. A Shard, which activates Runic Strike, so that Frost Rock is going to get +2/+2 and Swift Strike, so 5/7 in the air. Not that Lakos can block. Daybreak Diviner going to come down. Creates a Blinding Ire, going to take out that rune. And here comes a swing for 5. Pocket Army going to be activated for Lakos, and 5 damage assessed. He's going to be down to 16.
With all the flight tubes taken care of, and that Light of Day delayed by 1 turn, Diamond Ice is not going to give a resource for the turn. It's still okay, though. Both players still relatively high health.
I mean, the Pocket Armies are scary, but never mind.
Hogarth.
It's Hogarth.
Oh my gosh.
Master
Hogarth.
of the Arena. Don't worry about it.
That's a thing.
It is. It is a thing. He's a 5/5 with Spell Shield, and that's pretty relevant. Looking at the hand of Lakos Polan here.
So you were saying there's a reason that you're Soaring Talon.
There is, and the reason is Mr. Hogarth, the beardy Santa Claus of the arena.
Oh, this is going to be brutal here. If Hogarth connects with an opponent, it'll change that champion into Hogarth and the deck as well. So yeah, this is going to be interesting here. So Infamous Neo will change from Soaring Talon into Hogarth. His deck will also go into the void, and he will have a brand new deck. He will become Hogarth, Master of the Arena.
That Spell Shield saving it from Light of Day. The only other target was that Frost Rock.
And speaking of Frost Rock down for Neo. Pocket Army's going to activate.
So with a new 60-card deck, make the Draft Berry deck sad if that were your opponent.
Also to note, look at the cost of cards in Lakos' hand. They have a slight increase in their cost as well.
Yeah, Hogarth actually has a passive power, which does some things.
Double Frost Rock into Bellow of the Arena. Neo at 21, Lakos at 9, about to be 5. That Pocket Army can't do much if it can't get into the air. Back over to Lakos, going to gain 1 health from Daybreak. Finds a loyal 2-box. Hoping for flight. Gets Spell Shield and Crush. Nope, that's not going to do it. And players will go into reserves. Neo taking the 1-0 lead on the back of Hogarth. That's got to be pretty satisfying, Neo, to get Hogarth and actually execute and make that hit and turn it to Hogarth.
Oh yeah, obviously casting today, so I joined for the door prizes, but I played the rounds I was able to, and so I figured, like, I probably had a better deck in my pool, but Hogarth is obviously the way to go.
And again, that champion, not really, when we first saw it, I was like, oh, that's interesting, and obviously makes total sense now. All right, so we are currently in round 1 of the Clash. We're just doing this until they can fix the the top 8 in the Cosmic Crown Showdown. So this is Infamous Neo and Lacos Palan, game number 2. We'll take a look at opening hands here. Lacos keeping a non-blood shard hand, Double Diamond, Dark of Night, Frost Blast, Violet's Caress. That's a good card. The Duskwing Scout and a Candlelit Zealot. And Neo, what do you got up there for you?
I got my Aya, my Runic Downfall, a Daybreak Diviner, and a Mind Caller, and a few shards. No 5-shard hand this time. But yeah, Lacos' hand looks pretty spicy.
All right, let's go. Let's get into the action. Can Lacos force a game 3 against Neo? We'll see.
Initial shards out, diamond shards all around.
That much needed blood shard here for Lacos. And we'll see that Duskwing Scout come out as well. So has something in the air to swing in against, well, that Eldritch Thunderbird.
That's not fair that he drew that. That's incredibly lucky.
Second resource for Neo. Here comes that Thunderbird. And Neo will
Thunderbirds, ho!
All right, so Lacos draws an Execute. We'll see that Diamond Shard come down. And Violet's Caress going to take out the Thunderbird. Will gain a point of health. Duskwing Scout going to be able to swing here for 3. Great thing about Escalate, that card will go back into Lacos' deck with a increase in its number by 1. So it'll do 2 damage and gain 2 health. Go back in the deck and then 3 and 4 and so on.
Just a quick update for you guys. The new draft is going to be kicking off at 10:20 Pacific time. So in about 8 minutes, is that?
Yes, 8 minutes. They said to relog. Draft will stay with the same deck. Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yes. They said the relog and the draft will stay with the same deck. So if you are in the top 8, they said to relog and your draft will start with the match will stay with the same deck. That's not what's being casted right now. We're currently doing the the Clash until they can fix the issue with the Cosmic Crown Showdown. So I apologize. But we are just bringing you some different coverage right now while we're waiting for the Cosmic Crown Showdown to fix itself. All right, so we go back into the action here with a Neo. Board wipe here on Neo's side. So we go back over to him. He'll play out a resource now at 5. And
he must be cheating or something, right?
Ambling Bluff, followed by Mesmeric Chant. Dark of Night, though, going to take out that Ambling Bluff and create a Nightfall. Mesmeric Chant's going to lock down that Candlelight, stun it, so it'll be exhausted for a few turns. Here comes that swing in for 3. Neo going to take that hit, go down to 10.
It's so much removal in Lacos' Poland's hand. Dark of Night, Light of Day. It's almost like there's a theme in these removal cards.
It does look like the tournament is up to join, so top 8 players, the queue is open. Please join.
Let me ask Kyle quickly if it's with the same decks.
All right, so back over to Lacos. Draws that Violet's Caress again. So that is a deal 2, gain 2. Runic Downfall going to target that Duskwing Scout. Mesmeric Chant is going to lock down that Candle, and Duskwing Scout will come back again onto the field for Lacos.
Okay, so Kyle says it will be a redraft, so it won't be the same decks.
Okay. Redraft. All right, so still missing one player from the top 8. You need to join the queue so you guys can get started. All right, so here comes Guidance from Infamous Neo. Going to draw a card. Has Crackling Tide and Binding in hand. Over to Lacos, finds a Diamond Shard. Will play that out. Now at 8 resources. Can play both cards in hand. Ghastly Golden Light. Going to activate Champion ability. Going to illuminate that Candlekin to a 2/2. Neo at 7. Going to go ahead and Eldrick's Binding and bury 3 cards. So only going to take 2 here. Neo down to 5. Lacos comfortably at 26. Neo finding a shard. Not going to do it. And Lacos will tie it up 1-1.
Yeah, pretty unfair for Neo there, I think. He deserved to win that.
All right, looks like all 8 players are in the draft. So it is a redraft, so good luck to you guys. Should be good to go for your champion selection and gems after this. We're going to be joining Game 3 here in the Clash while we're waiting for the CCS decks to be built by their respective players. And let's bring you Game 3 between Lacos Palan and Infamous Neo. Neo will have the option to go first here. We'll take a look at his hands, or their hands, and see what they're working with here. Neo with Double Diamond, Double Sapphire, Hyborian Hermit, Duskwing Scout, and Benediction. I don't know that card. What's the 7-cost, Hacky?
It's a 7-cost Benediction of Lumos. Put target troop from your crypt into play, and it gets +2/+2 in flight.
There you go. And over for Lacos, we see Double Blood, Pocket Army, Guidance, Initiative Wax, Harborian Hermit, and wow, that's a legendary there. The Eternal Seeker. So wow, good stuff there. No diamond for him though. Sitting on a handful of diamond cards with 2 diamond and artifacts and 2 blood cards.
But it's still a keepable hand because Pocket Army, being an artifact, doesn't really rely on your shards. So at worst, you're going to see Pocket Army and a Pocket Army for 2. And even if more blood, more Pocket Army.
All right, so Pocket Army on turn 1 for Lacos. Back over to Neo. Finds a Mind Caller. That'll be good for that Benediction. Here comes Duskwing Scout. It has Fate Weave, so Fate Weave will allow Neo to either put a standard non-resource or a standard resource on the top of his deck, or a resource on the top of his deck. See Pocket Army being activated, going to go into his hand, and Pocket Army down. So 2 Pocket Armies here for Lacos as he passes back to Neo. Here comes the Hyborian Hermit. Swing for 1. And that's going to end Neo's turn. Back over to Lacos. Cull the Weak. Yeah, he doesn't pick up a shard, which is huge here. Neo finds Guidance, will Diamond Shard. And here comes
full skill.
He didn't actually attack with either of the Pocket Armies. Attacking with one of them, even if it were blocked, it will enable a second Pocket Army to be played and at least make some progress.
Activation of that Pocket Army. Going to create 1 in hand. Still no resources. Wow.
And that's the slight problem with that. Pocket Army made a 3-cost Pocket Army, and that's unable to be played, so the board is stuck where it is.
Vigil of Nolzon for Neo. So definitely has control of the skies here.
The risky Pocket Army keep is not panning out right now for Lacos Palan.
Rhymeclaw for Neo off the top. Here comes Mindcaller. Going to target that Benediction. Now at 6, so just needs another resource for that to work. But he also needs a troop in his crypt for that to work too. Brittle Rhymeclaw, such a great card. That's down for Neo as well. Back to Lacos, looking for a resource. Finds one finally, and it's a diamond, which he desperately needed here. We're going to see Guidance Fate Weave, maybe for a resource. I would say that's probably true. Here it is, a Diamond Shard and a Brittle Rhymeclaw for Lacos.
But the Brittle Rhymeclaw for Infamous Neo activated his Hyperborean Hermit, and that's also now going to be able to exhaust the Brittle Rhymeclaw. And with several turns and being able to build a board, not to mention that 3 of those troops have flight, this is going to be tough for Lacos Pilon to take care of. Even with all of the removal in hand in deck.
Yeah, it's super
might just
hard.
Be too late.
Yeah. Brittle Rhymeclaw activating, becoming invincible, so going to be able to take out that Pocket Army. The other one blocks, Pocket Army gone, keeps the Rhymeclaw. Neo with a wide board here against Lacos Pilon, desperately trying to claw his way back from that risky keep, and that's going to do it. Neo will take round 1.
Good job, Neo.
What are your thoughts on that match, Neo?
I thought it was a good match. I thought the better player won, and Hogarth may have carried me a little bit there.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like the draft portion is currently going on, so that means those players will be drafting, and then after drafting, there'll be a deck building phase, and after deck building, we will have 15 minutes of wait until the replay feature will pick up their matches, and we'll be able to bring you coverage for the CCS Stage 2, where we'll crown our next Cosmic Crown Showdown champion. So let's bring you some more Clash matches here.
Yeah, this is a great preview, as Sealed also uses a similar format as the CCS draft. You'll be seeing some of the drafts, the cards that you might see in the CCS playoff in these sealed matches. I seem to have found you a match.
And it is Djinni playing Papa Goot versus Papa Goot.
Tunu Plowed.
Good to me.
Seems pretty Goot.
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, definitely Goot. All
Good
right.
hands on both sides there.
May the best Goot win. All right, so yeah, let's get this thing started here. Tunu Plowed, is that how we're saying his name? I apologize in advance. I am terrible with names.
That seems to be Tunu Plowed.
All right, Tunu Plowed. we see Maggot Swarm here for Djinni as he passes it over to Tunu Plowed. Here comes a Diamond Shard. Looking to get to 3 so he can play either Dawn Steed or Zephyr Shaman. Back over to Djinni. Slow Shard here with the Shard of Retribution. Going to go with that Blood Threshold. Maggot Swarm number 2. And that'll end his turn.
Very similar hands here, honestly, and we don't see an Eclipse on either side, but we do see those Dawn Steeds, which are pretty much a staple for these. Oh, there's an Eclipse.
There's definitely an Eclipse.
But as I was saying, Dawn Steed's pretty much a staple for these kind of decks. 3/3 flyer for 3. Assuming you have a constant down, and Goot does like to get constants down, so it's usually going to be okay.
So we see Papa Goot for Djinni activating that Daybreak. So both players going to be gaining 1 health at the start of their turn. Back over to Tunu Plow. Finds a Blood Shard, so we can see Twilight Eclipse here. And this is definitely going to gain some health and deal some damage here for Tunu Plowed. No swing. Turn passes back to Djinni.
I'd have to imagine that Djinni's deck has a Twilight Eclipse or something similar. Usually these decks choose Papa Goot, especially in sealed, if they have that capability.
Journey
Also,
into Nightmare comes off the top there. That's another constant that takes a card from your opponent's deck every turn. Unfortunately, the Eclipse has already come off the top for Tunu Plowed.
Deathless Infiltrator gets +2 attack and flight every time you Fate Weave, and it lasts until the start of your next turn. So that stopped the Dawnsteed last turn. It's able to get an attack in this turn.
So Shade Knight will be able to attack and block. Shade Knight requires you to have a constant in order for it to block. Or for it to attack, I mean. War Priest down for Djinni, definitely going wide here. That Fate Weave making that Infiltrator flight, so 4/4 flight inbound. Tuna Plow doesn't want to sacrifice that Dawn Steed, so goes down to 13. And then immediately gains 3 health and deals 3 damage to Djinni with that Twilight Eclipse. Here comes Guidance, going to be able to Fate Weave for a resource.
Twilight Eclipse is powerful, but only 2 constants so far. A 3rd constant is about to come down from Tunu Cloud's Papa Goot power. But it's still at an okay spot at this point, especially if Djinni can continue to develop this board.
Needs to find a way to keep Fate Weaving that Infiltrator to keep that damage going. 2 Dawn Steeds back to each other. Here comes Journey into Nightmare.
Journey into Nightmare will take the top card of your opponent's deck at the start of your turn.
Ooh.
Turn its thresholds into blood.
Cold the Weak off the top for Tuna Plowed. Tuna Plowed just slamming that damage in. Djinni down to 10. Is going to be taking 4 at the start of Tuna Plowed's turn thanks to Twilight Eclipse. We see Journey into Nightmare take a card off the top of Tuna Plowed's deck. We see Guidance from Djinni, going to Fate Weave. Cull the Weak. Going to take out that Flyer. Maggot Swarm's going to gain +1 due to a troop going into the opposing crypt. Here comes a swing for 7. Huge hit here. A third of Tuna Plow's life is gone.
But just the same, Tuna Plow is going to gain 5 health at the start of this turn. And that Dark of Night is going to create... Yeah, it's going to create another Nightfall. It's going to take care of one of these troops. And Tuna Plow is in very good shape with that Twilight Eclipse.
We see Dark of Night going to target that Dawn Steed, and indeed a Nightfall down for Tuna Plowed. Nameless Citizen comes down for Djinni.
So this is 5 damage at the start of turn, and gaining 5 health, 6 health now.
Execute, going to take out the Nameless Citizen, and Tuna Plow just sit back and relax mode, sitting on Cull the Weak. Top card from Tuna Plow's deck goes to Djinni. Papa Goot going to create a Daybreak, but it might not be enough. It's going to be a lot of damage here from that Twilight Eclipse.
The Twilight Eclipse will win in 2 turns. If something drastic does not happen in the next turn. There are enough blockers to stop any sort of non-flight attack. There's no evasion out here. Shade Knight can attack. And Tunu Plow's at 31 health. Twilight Eclipse needs to be answered this turn.
Ooh.
And we do see that Twilight Eclipse does exist in Djinni's deck, but it won't trigger until next turn.
And he'll be dead by then.
He is taking exactly 4 damage at the start of this turn.
And there we go. I'm sure we definitely have the next game in that one, right, Hacky?
Yeah, yes, we do. This is round 2 of the Hex Clash, and these players are both 1-1. 1 win, rather.
As if you're just joining us, just remember we are going to be doing Cosmic Crown Showdown coverage. There is currently an issue with the client, which prevented the players, the top 8 players, from selecting the correct champions and gems. So there was a redraft done, and that will hopefully be the last barrier to our coverage. And then once they get done with deck drafting and deck building, we'll bring you coverage of the Cosmic Crown Showdown top 8. All right, so Tuna Plowed with the 1-game victory over Djinni. We'll go ahead and take a look at opening hands. Djinni here, Double Blood, Shard of Retribution, Loyal Toolbox, Borean Leopard ×2, and Deathless Agent. Over for Tuna Plowed, no diamonds, Double Blood, Dawnsteed, Shade Knight, Ebonhorn there as well. It looks like Frostblast. So no diamonds in Tuna Plowed's hand. We'll see if that affects anything.
He does decide to keep the double, and he's 1 resource away from playing the 3/1 life drain.
Mm-hmm.
He does pick up an ice, so likely putting a resource on top of deck in the hopes that it's a diamond. It's got a pretty good chance of being diamond.
Djinni finds a resource off the top. Gonna go ahead and make a Brittle Borean Leopard, and will just pass the turn.
It's normally a 4-cost 3/4. The Brittle Frost 4 makes it a 3/1 Steadfast for 2.
No play from Tuna Plowed, so could see 3 points of damage here to him on the attack. We see another shard for Djinni. Will play that out, go to 3. Activation of Champion Power is going to create that Daybreak, so it's going to start gaining 1 health a turn, and a Deathless Agent will join that Brittle Borean Leopard. Here comes the swing for 3, and Tuna Plowed is going to go down to 14.
Against no board, that Brittle Borean Leopard is going to do a lot of work.
So we have the Harvester come down, Papa Goot activating, so Daybreaks on both sides of the board. Djinni going to gain a health start of his turn. Finds another resource. And here we go for attack. All in here. We'll see that block. So 2 damage dealt. Going to gain 3 health as a result. So up to 15. Borean Leopard now comes down, not frost formed.
It's much beefier when it's not frost formed, but a 3/1 for 2 is pretty good.
And Shade Knight here for Tuna Plowed. So a good blocker here for him to protect his health total. We go back to Djinni. Finds Ghastly Exchange. And looks like we're going to see that Loyal Toolbox. So it'll get 2 random boons when it comes out. That is going to be Flight and Skyguard. So it has Flight. It can block Flight troops.
The Flight alone is one of the better boons that you can get on that Loyal Toolbox. The Skyguard is a little redundant with that Flight, but...
We see Brittle, Rhymeclaw, and Deathless Agent come down for Tuna Plowed. Shade Knight going to stay back. Back over to Djinni.
Loyal Toolbox is just outside the range of being hit with Tuna Plowed's Execute, and Tuna Plowed also does not have a 2nd diamond threshold to Frostblast, so Loyal Toolbox is loyally hitting Papa Goot's health. He goes down to 13. Both players are gaining a lot, so this has the potential to turn into a long, drawn-out game.
So another activation of Champion Power. So 2 Daybreaks. That Ghastly Exchange could come into handy here for Djinni as the turn passes back to Tuna Plowed. Gain a health from Daybreak. Finds. Ooh, Twilight Eclipse off the top. And he'll play that out. Wow.
We know both players have a Twilight Eclipse. And Tuna Plowed, for the 2nd game, is able to get that out first.
Ghastly Exchange doing its work. Both players forced to take the top card, put it into their crypt. Djinni finds a diamond shard. Here comes the toolbox in. No way to block it. Tuna Plowed going to go down to 10. That'll change a little bit at the start of his turn. Finds a shard off the top.
That's an important diamond shard to turn on Frostblast.
Gonna go ahead and just hold up, pass the turn back to Djinni. He'll gain 2 health. Go to 22. And he milled his own Twilight Eclipse off the top.
The downside, the Ghastly Exchange in a matchup like this, while powerful, able to take a troop from either crypt, put it into your hand, there's not very many ways to bring back your own Twilight Eclipse once it is in the crypt.
Frost Blast going to take out that Loyal Toolbox. Tuna Plowed, now that Deathless Agent is a 4/4, decides to block with it, protecting his health total here. So going to take out Deathless Agent to Deathless Agent. And he'll play out a Diamond Shard. But that Ghastly Exchange, like you said, basically really hurting Djinni here. He does use the Ghastly Exchange on the Vesper to bring back Loyal Toolbox. So he does have that 4/4, and it does have Life Drain on it.
Gains another 2 random boons. Looks like one of them was already on the Loyal Toolbox, but the Life Drain, basically Loyal Toolbox Vampire at this point.
See, Blightbark Vampire for Tuna Plowed. He's at 16. Djinni still at 20. That Loyal Toolbox can definitely do some work. Ghastly Exchange again doing its thing.
And that Life Drain pretty much makes Loyal Toolbox able to counteract that Twilight Eclipse.
Tuna Plowed down to 12. Djinni at 26 thanks to the Toolbox Life Drain boon. Tuna Plowed going to gain a little bit of health back, deal some damage to Djinni. Daybreak number 2, and Dawnsteed will come out, so now has 2 flyers in the air.
And that's actually very bad for Djinni. As that double block on the Loyal Toolbox will mean that the ability to hold the opposing Twilight Eclipse back is kind of limited, and Tuna Plowed doesn't even have to attack. If no attack or damage happens, Djinni does not gain health from the Life Drain.
Tuna Plowed gained 5 health at the start of his turn,
while dealing 3 back. The power of Twilight Eclipse.
Ghastly Exchange doing its work.
It's already used its 1-shot. Likely brought in to answer that opposing Twilight Eclipse. It simply destroys target constant. And just like that, that threat is gone. Djinni still has 25 health. The opponent has played an Ebonhorn 4/5 Life Drain. So there's still that potential for Tuna Plowed to gain health. And it's going aboard and is still holding that Execute in hand. The Ebonhorn is important enough to double block kill. Limit that Life Drain. Both players have an equal number of constants gaining health. And Djinni, hungry for some treats, plays a treat machine, sacrifices it to gain some health, draw a card, and gain charge.
Back over to Tuna Plowed. Finds a resource off the top. He's going to go ahead and execute that Maggot Swarm. Just holding back to Djinni. Going to gain 3. Ghastly Exchange. Wow, loses that Frost Blast. Finds Cull of the Week, though. Going to be able to remove one of those threats in the air. And here comes that swing.
It's finally able to get through its damage and Life Drain again. But that Ghastly Exchange is going to force both players to continue to lose cards off their decks. They are down to 12 and 13 cards in their deck, respectively. That means Djinni may lose to lack of cards in deck first.
So we see a block here. Blight Knight's going to go into the crypt. Damage to Djinni down to 21. Tuna Plowed will take the health total lead. Ooh, Journey into the Nightmare also gone here for Djinni. So another win con for him to be able to take the top card off of Tuna Plowed's deck. That is now gone. Daybreak going to come down for Djinni. So going to gain some health, but that's not going to matter if he doesn't have any cards in his deck to play.
He's gaining 8 health a turn with this attacks. Also, the opponent doing 10 damage a turn with this swing. It's looking very likely that one player is going to run out of cards before either player gets anywhere close to 0 health. And at that moment, that's Ginny. That's Ginny.
Well, Tuna Plowed using guidance here to Fate Weave and draw.
But I mean, Dark of Night's pretty good. Take out that Loyal Toolbox, the source of damage, the source of a lot of health gain.
Oh,
and
wow. The second Twilight. He had 2 Twilight Eclipse, and as soon as that went into the crypt, he was done.
So Ghastly Exchange doing himself in.
Now, multiple win cons went into the crypt. Journey into Nightmare, his Twilight Eclipses were gone. And, yeah, that was... It was not a good situation for him. So let's take a look at where we're at currently in the CCS. Players should be in, according to Novocaine, in Pack 2, possibly getting into Pack number 3. Again, the reason why we're showing some Clash stuff is because the there was an issue with the draft. So the developers decided to go ahead and redo the draft to make sure everything was fair and square for the players. They couldn't select the correct champions and or gems. So they had to restart the draft and players had to redraft. So we're going to be bringing you coverage of the CCS. Don't worry. It's just going to take a little bit of time because they still are not done with drafting. And then they'll have the deck building portion. And then we'll have 15 minutes after the first match is complete before we can bring you the first match in the top 8. So some slight issues, but we'll work through it. Shouldn't be too much longer before we'll be able to bring you some of that action. So.
In the meantime, enjoy some Hex Clash. We have another Hex Clash round 2 match being loaded up. That last one is a good game, but we've got something different for you.
All right, so let's take a look at the action here. We've got Smrad playing Plague Root the Hollow versus Z-Bounder as Cassia Goldenlight. Let's take a look at opening hands and see what our players are working with here.
Plague Root's pretty good. Every time I have a Plague Root deck, I do very well with it. I very often don't get what I need to do a Cassia Goldenlight deck. I don't think I've played Candles in a long time. And yeah, I mean the Plague Root deck has a really nice looking hand. The Blight Bush, the Blight Bark, and the Blight Bestowed, very blighty. Yeah, I mean the Blight Bush goes in, the Blight Bestow gets played on 3. And the Blight Bark gets played on 4, and that means potentially a whole host of Blight Blossoms and an extra card to the hand too. If that all goes off, I mean, there's no removal in Z-Bounder's hand right now, so if that goes off, and it looks like it might, that's some pretty significant card advantage there.
It's looking like the Cassia Goldenlight deck is more geared toward Fate Weave. It might be Cassia Goldenlight if there are a bunch of Hyperborean Hermits to become a source of elementals.
Is that Sentinel? Or is that a Lady of Wax? Looks like a Sentinel.
That is a Silent Sentinel.
This is a really strong start for Plague Root. Like, it's hard to say otherwise. And it's going to all happen before that Sentinel gets done. Maybe not, actually. The Sentinel is such a hard counter here. That's incredible. Like, that it's in the deck and that it's been drawn. So the Sentinel will come down prior here to the Cultivator.
You see a Blight Bush, your opponent's Plague Root the Hollow. I don't see what world where you don't... Okay, this world where you don't slam down the Silent Sentinel.
Okay, I mean, the Silent Sentinel is quick, so you don't need to slam it, but the Diviner comes down instead. The Blight Bestowed goes onto that Blight Bush, and that means the Sentinel, although the perfect counter in this situation, is actually not going to stop that. Charge power coming across here. That's 4 Blight Blossoms from this Cultivator, as well as a card to hand. And I assume the swing in here too. Not really caring about losing it anymore.
Have you ever had that moment where you go, I really wish I played that other card?
So that was really good for SMRAD, but 1/1s are not the greatest things for winning with. We see a Runic Decay in hand here. We see the swing with both the big guys. The Sentinel's going to pop in here to potentially stop that Deathcry on a block, but the Runic Decay is going to take out the Sentinel, and that means the Deathcry is going to trigger again.
That was just picked up too.
Yeah, without the draw from the Blight Bestowed there, that Runic Decay would not have been in hand.
What a second Illuminate, making the Candlekin 2/2. That'll be great for blocking these Blight Blossoms. There's still a lot of them, though.
There are a lot of them, and there are also 2 Flight Troops in the hand there as well, so the extra damage can be squeezed through here. The Flyers might just be able to finish it off.
Cassia Golden Light down to 7. A Blightbark Vampire.
That Daybreak might actually be incredibly relevant here. We see a Vine Lash to hand. We're seeing all these like main decked hard counters. This is pretty crazy, actually. Color Week's really nice. But yeah, the Daybreak potentially will help things out here. The Vine Lash is going to probably see this vampire dead, and then the Radiant Servant here can block the other one. So the damage potential here is pretty much wrapped up, although the Color Week is still there.
There is a Deathless Infiltrator, but no way to Fate Weave right now. I mean, we'll just grab a resource and the Runic Decay will trigger, take out the Flight Troop. Preemptively take out Deathless Infiltrator. Things are blocked, things are killed. A second Plague the Hollow ability, a Blightbark Thrall taken from deck. Board still big, and Z-Bounder doesn't think he can finish off this game. How did that help?
Worth noting there too, the Vampire actually ended up triggering twice there because of the Plague Root Deathcry and the Thrall Deathcry, so that was an extra couple damage. Yeah, 1/1s can get there if you keep putting them out there.
For a live tournament update, the CCS draft is currently drafting Pack 3. This match between versus Cassia Golden Light, Illuminate, and Fate Weave.
There is a spicy piece of technology there in the Plague Root hand.
Yeah, this
that's pretty bad.
You saw this a bunch yesterday in the Deathcry decks. Trigger Deathcries at the end of your turn. But that hand has no wild right now.
That is true.
It's got a lot of turns to get it. Or you'll just draw it right now. Wild Ice even. Get the Fate Weave.
I think if you're a Z-Bound here, you're going to want that Silent Sentinel pretty quickly. The Decay is there to answer it, though. So even if it does happen, it might not succeed.
One of the reasons it might be even constructed a weak count reserves choice against Deathcry. It's fragile. Many ways to remove it.
Oh my lord, that was absolutely insane. So we have the Grounds Creeper and now the Gallows Oak as well. That's an insane combination of cards if they both stay and start triggering with some counters on that Gallows Oak.
And this is sealed even, so this is part of that pool.
Yeah, I would not turn my nose up at opening a Gallows Oak and Grounds Creeper, that's for sure.
Though that combination, Gallows Oak does lose the counters from the troops that it voids when the Deathcry triggers. But you can continually trigger it, so you'll get a bunch of zombies.
Plague the Hole I want to Thrall, Blight Seed Cultivator to trigger that Thrall, get 2 Blight Blossoms and another Thrall to hand, and those Blight Blossoms are probably going to be instrumental here in helping that Gallows Oak along the way. In comes the Creeper, and that Creeper's going to be able to trigger those Thralls every single turn, providing SM Rad here with a bunch of Blight Blossoms every turn, and eventually Battle of Destiny's on the top here. We see Battle of Destiny come down onto that Thrall. So the Death Cries are gone, but it does mean now that there are troops in the crypt for the Gallows Oak.
We'll start converting. Only flight troops attacking, so Blight Blossoms can't be sacrificed, but I assume that these Blight Blossoms will start attacking. He doesn't care if they die. That'll all fuel that Gallows Oak very shortly. No, only with Plague Root.
Interesting swing here. It's fairly safe, but Z hoping to get a multi-block there and use the Runic Decay to push things in his favor.
With 7 resources, decides on the Gallows Oak now. Plays the Blightbark Thrall. We're going to fill the crypt with troops yet? No, not yet. I mean, they're all blockers. There's no flight anymore without Fate Weave. But, it's time to emulate that tree.
That's painful. That's not what you want to see. Call the Week's pretty good, though. Pushing that big blocker out of the way and leaving the board fairly easy to attack here. There's a Frost Blast in hand. That will likely take out that Grounds Creeper this turn.
But the Death Cries have all passed. There's no more Blightbark Thralls. Runic Decay can finish off that initiative wax. And a resource entering the hand will spell more damage. And against that board, Z-Bounder is going to take a 0-2 loss in round 2. He'll be 1-1. And his opponent will be 2-0.
Yeah, did manage to deal with the threats there, but they already put in all the work they needed to.
All right, live tournament update. The draft has completed. Players are in deck building.
Tagging in Snake.
Roger that. All right, so we're going to be bringing you another match here in the Clash. We appreciate your guys' patience. If you came here to watch CCS coverage, we will be bringing you that. Players, like Hacky said, are in deck building. So after deck building, they will start their first games. And we should see something 15 minutes after the first game is over. So probably another 45 minutes till we see something? 30, 45 minutes?
I think, yeah, half an hour-ish. That'll be okay. And we should be taking the CCS games as they come.
All right, so we've got a match here in the CCS. Shinshire playing Puff the Rainbow versus Ropet as Papa Goot. And we'll take a look.
These players are 2-0 in this round 3 match. But super spicy hand that you'll see from Ropet very shortly.
Whoa. Ropet here with double Twilight Eclipse, Cage, Killblade, the Milky Eye, balance the scales, Diamond and Blood Shard. For Shinshire, Diamond Sapphire, Looks like 2 runic hatchlings. No, 2 diamonds, a single sapphire, 2 runic hatchlings, that Ebon Horn, and that Deathless Infiltrator. But wow, 2 Twilight Eclipse in opening hand for Ropet. Definitely hoping to find some resources to get that online as soon as possible.
I saw that in my pool. I know what I'm going.
Holy smokes, double Twilight. That's going to be nuts. Killblade here for Ropet. Just going to pass.
I mean, let's not ignore that cage either. 7 cost 7/7 that gives all your troops a boon randomly, and every troop that comes in gets a random boon too.
Here comes the 3rd shard for Ropet. Just needs 1 more by turn 4 to get that out on curve. Here comes the swing with that Killblade, going to hit for 1. Shinshar still leading health by 5 though, but things could get interesting here in a few turns. Sapphire for Shinshar, and we'll see that Deathless Agent come down. And there's the 4 shards, so Twilight Eclipse is a go for next turn. Papa Goot activating that champion ability to get a Daybreak. And let's see, no swing, we'll just pass a turn.
The balance of scales in Ropet's hand could give +2 or +3 or more, equal to the number of constants you have to this Killblade of the Milky Eye. It'll already trade. There's a target in hand. It'll come back pretty big.
So back to Ropet. Finds another resource, so getting closer to Cage. And we'll see a Twilight Eclipse come down. And boy, I wonder what Shinshire is going to think when he sees that second Twilight Eclipse come down next turn. Shinshire.
If you're Papa Goot and sealed, that means your pool is likely good enough to have at least a Twilight Eclipse and some good cards in Blood and Diamond. If you are a shaky Twilight Eclipse deck, you're probably going to try to find another champion, not commit to Goot. But
back-to-back Twilight Eclipse here for Ropet. Turn passes back to Shinshire. Doesn't have an answer for those in hand just yet. Now at 5 resources, we're going to see that Brittle Ebon Horn come out. So 4/1 life drain, and a Puff going to transform that into a flyer. So 4/4 flyer. Swing for 2 here at Ropet's going to bring him down to 19.
That means when it reverts, it'll be its 4/5 life drain form, a bit more hardy. But either way, there isn't a board right now for Ropet, so that life drain will be important to try to out damage and catch up on all this damage. Twilight Eclipse is currently now will be doing 8 damage and healing 8. And here's
a 5/5 Killblade of the Milky Eye that's lethal. That's just nuts.
It's pretty good. Game 1, the Shinshire have any way to deal with Twilight Eclipses? Maybe not in main deck. We'll go ahead and go into game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you could have a Twilight Eclipse, maybe even 2, but get them back-to-back and then ramp into a second Daybreak is pretty brutal.
Even if it were just 2 Twilight Eclipses by itself, that's 4 damage, 4 healing every turn. That is hard to interact with.
So we're going to be bringing you game 2 action between Shinshire Ropet. Ropet with that commanding win in game 1. And we'll see if he can continue that into game number 2. Ropet will have... Shinshire will go first. We'll take a look at opening hands for both players, see what they're working with. Shinshire here with double Sapphire, double Diamond, a Runic Downfall, Runic Hatchling, and Alchemite.
And on the top,
yeah, go ahead.
Considerably fewer Twilight Eclipses. But there is a Munsagi Deadeye, 2/1 with a Death Cry. Give something -1/-1. Oh, never mind. You'll see in a moment.
Oh, Twilight Eclipse off the top. That is some good stuff there to find it right off the top. So in hand, definitely has the resources to play it. We see guidance here from Shinshire. Going to find a Winter Widow, very nice. And the turn will pass back to Ropet, his draw. We'll see that Munsagi Deadeye that Hacky was talking about earlier. Turn passes back to Shinshire. resource off the top. He'll play a Sapphire. And here comes that
This
Alchemite.
Brittle Alchemite is really cool. It draws a card when it attacks, and you can discard a card to revert it and put it back into your hand.
Ropet activating his champion ability. So Daybreak online, we see that swing from the Monsagi Deadeye. And his brother, Monsagi Deadeye, will join him on the field. Back over to Shinshire, finds another resource. We'll play out a diamond now at 4. And here comes Winter Widow, going to lock down that Monsagi Deadeye. So no way for to block the Brittle Alchemite. It's going to swing. And Shinshire will find another resource off the top. Oof. And here we go, turn 4. Here comes the Twilight Eclipse.
And with those 2 Monsagi Deadeyes, it's going to be really hard to get into that board. Likely cards will be pitched for Brittle Alchemite to get through. But Runic Downfall returning a card to the opponent's hand, and it's got Runic. Alchemite can get in. Oh, it's going to return the Twilight Eclipse to the other hand, too.
What
His
a good
target
hit
card.
there, yeah. Delaying the damage for a turn. Here comes Diamond Eyes, going to Fate Weave. And here comes Twilight Eclipse. You may have gotten rid of it for 1 turn, but it's back again. Shinshire will need to find a way to handle that, or he's going to be taking some damage here from that. Here comes a Diamond Shard. Now it's 6 resources with 4 resources in hand. Here comes the swing. And another resource off the top. I think that Alchemite has found nothing but resources as a result there.
But they are fuel to return Alchemite back to hand, and now it is back.
Start of Ropet's turn. Twilight Eclipse starting to do its damage here. Initiative Wax coming down, followed by that Monsagi Deadeye.
Puff the Rainbow does have its charge power. Alchemite can attack and immediately go back to hand and basically start trading those sapphires. Looks like neither Monsagi Deadeye is going to block, so just some chumping going on here. Now that the Alchemite is not brittle, the Monsagi Deadeyes aren't as much of a threat. Dark of Night.
Dark of Night taking out that one Ebonhorn. Shinshire still has one in hand, but that more importantly puts a Nightfall in for Ropet, so even more damage and health gain for him.
All of this just serving to slow down Shinshire. One of the weaknesses of a Papa Goot deck is if it's going for constants, it doesn't always have a board, but this board is slowing down just about everything. Looks like we're going to see Brittle Ebonhorn played for 4, and then turned into a Merry Butterfly, so it'll be its full strength self and stopping Monsagi Deadeyes from doing anything tricky to it.
Papa Goot, here comes Daybreak number 2 to join the Nightfall and Twilight Eclipse. Balance the scale is going to bring back a Candlekin as a 5/5 and still has resources up for Runic Strike.
That's one way to make a big Candlekin.
Butterfly will revert back to the Ebonhorn, so 4/5 life drain for Shinshire. Here comes Guidance, going to Fate Weave. Probably trying to find a non-resource and does. Here comes Runic Strike in hand. Here comes Runic Hatchling. So 2/2 flyers for Shinshire. Going to go ahead and swing with everything. Deathless Agent off the draw. We see blocks assigned. Runic Strike and Runic Strike. So the power of Runic Strike on both sides. Unfortunately for Shinshire, the candle just a little bit bigger.
That's a tough loss. The health will still be gained as the Swift Strikes happen at the same time. But that was the turn where Alchemite may have wanted to get that resource.
Ropet at 20, Shinshire at 13, 4 constants on the field. One of them is Twilight Eclipse. And Ropet is in the driver's seat here, passing it back over to Shinshire. Finds a resource. Here comes Runic Strike. It will go ahead and target that Alchemite. And Runic Hatching will create another Hailhawk and another Hailhawk. So 4 flyers in the air, 2 of which can attack this turn. Sapphire Shard comes down. Puff the Rainbow, going to target a troop, so now another flyer. So here comes a swing. Frost Rock off the top, thanks to Alchemite. We see a block here with that War Priest. Got that extra defense, so not going to be taken out here. And Frost Rock for Shinshire.
Goes ahead and discards a shard just to put Alchemite back out as ready.
Looks like CCS round 1 is starting, so we should see a match within 15 to 20 minutes, give or take. Well, actually at the end of one, so maybe 30 minutes, give or take.
Pet finds the second Twilight Eclipse. This attack won't be enough. And the double Twilight Eclipse power, this might be a contender to reach the top 8 of the Hex Clash.
Yeah, I mean, double Twilight Eclipse, and he has other ways to create constants. Pretty strong deck there for Repet.
All right. Since the CCS round 1 is starting, we likely have about 10 to 20 minutes before the game start. What do you want to do? We can do one more match, or do you have some? Let's do that. All right, we got a round 3 Hex Clash match, and these players are both 2-0.
All right, so it looks like we have Voodoo Child versus Astro Squirrel. Man, I love these names, Voodoo Child and Astro Squirrel. Will be round 3 of the Hex Clash. Again, we'll be bringing you CCS coverage here after we start seeing some of the matches from the round 1. And let's go ahead and bring you this match, Voodoo Child versus Astro Squirrel.
And for whatever reason, we're just seeing a bunch of Papa Goot.
Must be some really good decks out there. Let's see here. Astro Squirrel, though, with 23 health as Furico versus Papa Goot in that starting health of 17. We'll take a look at opening hand, see what both players are working with here. We see Voodoo Child with a Diamond Ice, double Diamond Shard, Runic Decay, Day Rider, Shade Knight, and Deathless Agent. And Astro Squirrel here with a... Looks like he's... possibly Tri-Shard, Diamond.
That looks Tri-Shard.
Wow, Tri-Shard action going on here for him. So, of his hands going nuts. Initiative Wax, Runic Hatchling, Hell Hatch. No, is it Runic Hatchling?
It is Runic Hatchling.
Runic Hatchling, and then the
Hatching.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, interesting hands here for both players.
We see a Day Rider in Voodoo Child as Papa Goot's hand. Not sure how many Twilight Eclipses are in there. We'll see how this plays out.
Back over to Astro Squirrel. Finds a Daybreak Diviner. We'll see that Shin Hair come onto the field. Back over to Voodoo Child. Moonsagi Deadeye off the top. Missing that Blood Shard, though. Deathless Agent will come down instead. Astro Squirrel now with a Diamond Threshold will pass the turn. Diamond Ice for Voodoo Child, probably Fate Weaving for a resource, hoping to find a Blood Shard. Here comes that Deathless Agent in for 4, no blocks. Astro Squirrel going to go down to 19. Sapphire Eye, so now showing his hand. Hey, I'm Tri-Shard. Here comes an Initiative Wax. A swing for 1, Voodoo Child. Going to go down to 16. Draw off the top for Voodoo Child. Blood Shard, definitely what he was looking for. And here comes Day Rider.
Now, Furico's charge power. 7 charges to give all of your troops +2/+2 permanently. Much like War Master Fuzzuko in Shattered Destiny. This deck likely just wants to put a bunch of troops, early to mid-range troops, get to 7 charges, and just be really big. Ooh. Daybreak Diviner making a Hilltop Monastery. It doesn't currently have 5 counters.
Although it does say that, yeah.
But it will have 5 counters shortly. Exhaust a troop to put a counter on it. When it's at 5 counters at the start of your turn, you get a Valor. So these troops will be growing big from Valor, and if Furico gets to 5 charges, will become big from Furico's power.
Over to Voodoo Child. Finds a Duskwing Scout off the top. Plays a resource now at 6. We see Activation Champion Power going to create that Daybreak. Here comes a Vesper. As a result of Day Rider, that Vesper on the field will get +1/+1. Shade Knight swinging in here for 4. Doesn't look like any block. So Astro Scroll going to take that hit, go to 15. Voodoo Child will take the lead here in health at 18. And Duskwing Scout will finish that turn.
Whenever a constant enters play for Voodoo Child, he'll create a Vesper. And Vespers get +1/+1 whenever a constant enters play for you. And we see Runic Decay, so these Vespers will grow. There'll be more and more Vespers. So large board versus large board is something that might be set up. That's a risky block, though. Oh.
Wow,
what is this?
The chain. Pile driver. Making sure that damage is going to be able to go through 7/4, and that Day Rider is going to be gone. So no more Vespers for Voodoo Child.
Not before one more Vesper enters play while it is out. Not a horrible, not the worst result that could happen, but yeah, the combat trick chain ending in Astro Squirrel's favor. But at the same time, there aren't really that many more constants left, so it may not be that big of a loss for Voodoo Child right now. The Vespers are already out.
We see that Valor onto the Daybreak Diviner. 5/5 Swift Striking, Borean Leopard, and Daybreak Diviner inbound. We're going to see that Musagi Deadeye step in front of one of them. It's going to Deathcry, put -1/-1. Go Nuts onto the troop.
That is going to turn it into a Merry Squirrel, and it will also revert it at the start of the turn. Not the -1/-1 is only for the turn, though. It's not a permanent.
Valor being generated as a result of that Hilltop Monastery. Wild Shard will come down for Astro Squirrel.
Go Nuts is interesting. 4 cost, make something a Merry Squirrel. Again, making good trades here. Forcing Rhymeclaw to use its invincibility power. And it also draws a card. So you don't even lose card advantage from it. This will end in the Furico player's favor, though.
All right, so we're going to be going to a game 2 of that matchup between Voodoo Child and Astro Squirrel.
Is it fitting that Astro Squirrel is playing a deck with Go Nuts?
I think it is. I think it's very fitting. All right, so here we go. Game 2 between both these players. Astro Squirrel with a 1-0 lead here on Voodoo Child. We'll take a look at opening hand, see what players are working with here.
I should be up shortly. I can tell you we found the Twilight Eclipse.
We did find the Twilight Eclipse, and it's an opening hand for Voodoo Child and enough resources in hand to play it. Looks like Emulet and a Deathless Agent also in hand. Astro Squirrel sitting on definitely has his thresholds he needs in hand, 3 resources. Looks like Go Nuts, a Deathless, I can't see that card. I know Frost Rock's there, and I can't see the other 2 cards.
Oh, Deathless Devoted, and I believe that is a Pummel.
Pummel, yes. Deathless Devoted and Pummel. So let's go ahead and get into this Game 2 match between Astro Squirrel and Voodoo Child. Astro Squirrel up 1-0.
Pummel is one of several actions in this limited format that gives Crush to a troop. And, well, if giant squirrels are stomping around, that might just be there to punish what might be a jump block.
Astro Squirrel here with a wild resource. We'll just pass the turn. Voodoo Child with a Rhymeclaw off the top. He'll play a Blood Shard. And we'll see that Deathless Agent come onto the field for Voodoo Child, waiting patiently there for turn 4 to get that Twilight Eclipse out. Astral Squirrel going to go ahead and play a resource, select a threshold. Diamond is what he selected. Here comes that Deathless Devoted, and that'll end his turn. Activation of Papa Goot. Power will create a Daybreak. Here comes that Deathless Agent. 2 damage inbound. Astral Scroll not going to block, so go to 21. And a Rhyme Claw. So
plays it at full strength. He had an option of Diamond Icing, but actually, not having played the Diamond Ice, he's not going to be able to play Twilight Eclipse next turn if he does not pull a normal shard.
We'll see if he does. Start of his turn, Daybreak's going to gain 1 health for Voodoo Child. Wow, finds the resource off the top. Never didn't have it. Going to go to attack first here. Here comes the swing. Everything in. We see the block with the Deathless Devoted to the Deathless Agent, and Pummel going to give that troop +3/+3, so enough to take out the Deathless Agent. We see Spectral Shielding in response. And that is going to make it a 5/7 to take out that Deathless Devoted.
It does delay the Twilight Eclipse for 1 turn, and not playing the Diamond Ice, wanting to save that for Deathless Agent Fate Weave at some point. But Spectral Shielding is actually permanent. A permanent +1/+3.
Oh, wow. Jack Hat Heckler comes down. That can use its ability when it comes out. It has speed, so it can swing in here for 4. Voodoo Child's going to take this hit, go to 14. Voodoo Child. Wow.
That Twilight Eclipse could have done a bunch of 4 damage by now. Were able to be played. Delaying it, playing it for 1 turn, is allowing the opponent to get some damage in, get these cards out, forcing answers. He's going to go for it now. He doesn't have resources up, and Jack Heckler can do some really cool things.
Yeah, interesting. Most players, when they have that Eclipse, want to slam it down as quickly as possible to start gaining health and dealing damage. So interesting that he decided to wait this long. We'll see if it is a factor in this matchup.
The problem, though, is that Jack Heckler is a reusable battle.
Okay. And that's going to do it.
Wasn't looking really good. Well,
I don't know if it was time to throw in the hat there right away, but maybe he knows. I mean, he knows his deck better than we do.
I think so. Despite having Twilight Eclipse, sometimes you have a Twilight Eclipse and your deck doesn't kind of support that too much, but you still want to try it. But he'll be 2-1 after this one. His opponent 3-0 in this 7-round Hex Clash.
So it looks like there are 2 matches completed in the Clash round 1. So we are just waiting for those to populate.
Do you have something to fill in a little gap of time?
Let's do a 10-minute break. Neil, are you there? You got some giveaways? If not, I can do some giveaways as well.
I can definitely get some giveaways on the go.
All right, so we're going to do a 10-minute break. Hopefully by that end of that break, we should be into round 1 coverage of the CCS. We're going to do that video. We'll be back after the break. Make sure you guys listen to Neo for the giveaways, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. So stay tuned.
If you want to enter that giveaway, let me know what your favorite card is in chat.
Do you get bonus points if you say your next card in in set 8?
It doesn't have an. Well, I'm sure it has a name.
Make up a
but
name. Make
yeah.
up a name.
Neo's card.
It-
Sneaky play.
The infamous Archer.
Hey, you know what? That could be a good thing. Put in what you think the name of Neo's card should be. If you've seen the art and you've seen the character, put in chat what you think Neo's character should be called. What that vanity card should be called. That would be interesting to see what people think based off the picture. Exalted Sniping Sniper from Hacky. The Bearded Bandit. Ooh, I like that. Bearded Archer. That's a good one, too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. You guys put in what you think Neo's deck, his vanity card should be named. You guys seen the art. What do you guys think it should be? If not, just put something in chat and you'll be eligible to win. We'll be back in 10 minutes, and we should be bringing you coverage of round 1 of the Cosmic Crown Showdown, so the quarterfinals, if you will. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Prestigious. Nothing too exciting here. The first turn resource going in probably for both players. We'll see what Dumbledore draws here. Could be something spicy. That is a little bit spicy.
So we see Belligerent Badger here for Novocaine. That'll pass the turn over to Dumbledorko. Poppy Pixie also in Novocaine's hand. That could be very interesting here. Blood Shard for Dumbledorko. And
yep, really nice draw there for Novocaine. That needed a troop to start transforming before this Poppy Pixie comes down. So that's going to be pretty big swing of 6 next turn.
Poppy Pixie going to change that Belligerent Badger into a Merry Squirrel. And we're going to see Eldritch Binding immediately target that and bury 3 cards. So only 3 damage going to be done to Dumbledorko. One thing of note, that card will revert back into its original form.
It will, but we've got that charge power from Puff next turn and the Runic Chrysalis, meaning that the new target can, of course, be that Poppy Pixie. Although we see the Verdict in the hand there. If the Chrysalis is used, it might be the Verdict that gets done. Likely, though, we see charge power hatching here, and maybe the hatching meets the end of that Verdict instead.
Belligerent Badger is going to gain attack and defense here thanks to the transformation. So 7 damage inbound. Dumbledorko going to take it right to the face and goes to 11. We see Runic Hatching going to be met by Verdict of Ancient King, so that will go to the crypt. So no
very good value there. The hatching, of course, is potentially 2/2/2 flyers, and dealing with it using a 2-cost interrupt is pretty good. We see the Yana charge power here. Novocaine opting for the draw. Down to 11, though. That's not a good place.
We see another Belligerent Badger for Novocaine. He'll play out a resource. Belligerent Badger is going to come down. And here comes a swing for 5. Dumbledorko, let's see what he wants to do here. Going to take it to the face. Going to go down to 6 health. Novocaine still sitting pretty here at 23. Cannibalize, going to draw some cards now. Dumbledorko down to 4 health.
Yeah, interestingly enough there, the Chrysalis was not used. It would have buffed up the Badger this turn and added a few more points of damage there. We see a Thunderbird, but that's not too threatening with 2 Crush Troops on the board. Potentially 2 Crush Troops. We see the Evaporate come down anyway, and there's the Concede. Too much damage, too fast.
All right, so we're going to be going to... Actually, we're going to be going to another match. Because of the replay feature, we won't have all the matches done back to back to back, at least right now. So we're going to bring you another match. This is going to be Yasi versus Sadistic, round 1 of the top 8 quarterfinals. And let's go ahead and bring you that action. Yasi playing for Rico and Sadistic playing Pharamides. We'll take a look at opening hands for both of these players.
Both interesting champions. For Rico there, making the board-wide +2/+2 a very definite thing, and Pharamides giving +2/+2 to a single troop, but it's slightly cheaper.
Both players playing out resources. Sadistic with a slow Shard of Retribution goes for that Diamond Threshold. Back to Yasi. Finds a Blightseed Fiddler right
Fantastic
off the top.
Draw.
Yeah. That Death Cry and Fate Weave, very good. Plus a 3/1 troop, so if there's nothing here to block, he can definitely do some damage or take away a threat. And here's one. Deathless Agent will come down. And Sadistic will pass back over to Yasi. Finds a Poppy Cake Peddler off the top.
So that might have changed the play here. The Diviner might have been the play, but given that the Peddler is now a possibility for next turn, maybe he wants to protect the Fiddler this turn so that Fate Weave is still live and on the board.
After that hit of 6, Sadistic down to 17. Deathless Agent going to get +2, +2, +2, +2 due to the Fate Weave. Here comes a 6/6 of his own swinging in. Yasi going to take that hit, and health total is now equal between players.
That's a great draw too. The Orkinaya there, every time it attacks or blocks, the controller can Fate Weave, and with Poppy Cape Peddler, that seems like a pretty strong pickup here.
Wow, really nice there for Yasi. Back over to Sadistic. We'll play a Blood Shard. So Tri-Shard here for Sadistic. Here comes an Initiate of Wax. And we'll hold back.
Frostlock in the hand there. Very scary. Obviously, Yasi doesn't know it's coming, but it's definitely a threat. And the Orkinaya here can go in, Fate Weave, get +2/+2, and be more or less unkillable by these guys here. Unfortunately, the Runic Strike is in hand there to clear things up.
Brutal here. Runic Strike going to take out that Orkinaya. Sadistic only loses the Initiative Wax in the conflict there. Ruby Shard comes down now at 5. Here comes that Acolyte. And it will Fate Weave, which triggers Deathless Agent. So a swing here for 4. And Yasi
Sadistic just needs the diamond here for that. Frostlock has enough resources if he picks up another diamond. There is a Chomp Knight in hand here to potentially deal with it, though. So if the Chomp Knight doesn't get played, it does get played. That's unfortunate for Yasi if that Frostlock does go off, because obviously the Chomp Knight is the thing that could have dealt with that. We see the diamond. Oh, this is such perfect timing.
Wow.
Oh, my word. You've got to be kicking yourself if you're Yasi here.
Yeah, 1 turn too early. Frostlock going to take care of 3 of Yasi's troop, leaving him completely defenseless. 5 damage inbound. Yasi going to be brought down to 8. And Betty wishes he would have waited just 1 more turn. He would have been able to handle that Frostlock.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate sequencing there for Yasi.
Yasi with a Daybreak Diviner as a blocker. Verdant Mill. And Scales here. 5 damage inbound. Yasi going to be down to 3. Sadistic will play the last card in hand in Fate Weave. And here comes a resource. That's going to do it. And Sadistic will take game number 1.
Wow, that was, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, potentially when you lose, you can handle things if things are just done a different way. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20, but that could have gone very differently if the Frostlock had come down earlier or the Chomp Knight a little later.
Looks like we have game 2 between Novocaine and Dumbledorko. Let's go ahead and bring that up right now. Take a look at opening hands. Dumbledorko with 5 shards, Eldritch Thunderbird and Maggot Swarm. Novocaine sitting on 3 resources. Look like 2 Runic Chrysalis, Frostrock, and I'm not sure of the wild card there in the middle.
That's Party Fungi, and that is very good news for Novocaine here. So I would say a better hand for Dumbledorko this time, but Novocaine's hand is crazy. He has the Thresholds to play that Frostrock on 3. He has the Fungi to play on 2, and then he has 2 Chrysalis to revert back that Frostrock to its natural state and create a 7/7 Butterfly 4 times potentially, 5 if you include the charge power. That's a really impressive looking hand.
Oh yeah, let's get into the action. Novocaine up 1-0. Dumbledorko wanting to force a game number 3. Let's see if he can do that. We see Maggot Swarm for Dumbledorko. By the way, this battle board is beautiful, right? I love this battle board.
Certainly is. It is one of my favorites. I still like the Wizard one, though.
I'm a fan of the Jungle battle board. I think that is pretty gorgeous. Back over to Dumbledorko. Finds a resource. A handful of resources. We'll play this Thunderbird out. So now left in hand with 4 resources. Hoping to find something else here as he will pass the turn back over to Novocaine.
Yeah, he's got to find something. This is an absolutely absurd start.
And here comes Party Fungi for Novocaine. And back over to Dumbledore, hoping to find something other than a shard here off the top. And he finds another shard, so definitely a little flooded here with 4 shards, and a Eldritch Thunderbird is his only real threat here. That'll ping Novocaine, bring him down to 22.
So likely, unless a different troop is drawn, we are going to see the Frostrock coming here to become a target for all of that transform in Novocaine's hand.
And here comes the Frostrock. And going to pass the turn. No, Dumbledore, please. Saying, please give me something other than a resource. Wow, another resource for Dumbledore.
I'm getting flashbacks.
Yarna. Wow, going to use that Yarna. And Novocaine decides to bury here. Maggot Swarm does find 1 troop as a result of that. That's got to be a really just terrible feeling.
Another party fungi has come off the top there. And that's going to mean any transform is going to lead to a +4/+4. And there's the charge power. 10-10 Mystic Merry Butterfly. It's probably going to get chumped here by that Thunderbird. But, I mean, there are 2 more Chrysalis in Novocaine's hand.
No chump here. Going to take it to the face. Dumbledore's like, I got it. I'm going to take nearly half my health total hit here. Goes to 11. And Thunderbird off the top. At least it's not another resource. He's going to go ahead and play that out.
Not blocking there was important because we do see Evaporate in Novocaine's hand. So where he could have prevented the damage last turn, he can't prevent the damage this time because Evaporate is going to meet one of those Thunderbirds and get those blockers out of the way.
Back to Novocaine. Finds going nuts here, so let's see what he wants to do. Here comes the swing with that Frostrock. And a chump block with the Thunderbird. Novocaine waiting to see if there's anything happening here with those 3 cards left in Dumbledore's hand. Doesn't know that he has nothing but resources. And
solid play from Novocaine here. Goes in with the Frostrock, doesn't worry about the Chrysalises, knows he's got that Evaporate in his hand to potentially push the other blocker out of the way if he needs. And so he doesn't spend anything going into the attack phase, so he can play that rune and get that Hailhawk out as another potential attacker. So there are all kinds of options here for Novocaine. There's a lot of damage. We see the runic hatching trigger again, and there's a shard. So that means we can potentially Evaporate and double Chrysalis on this turn, which is pretty big news.
Evaporate going to target that Frostrock, so it'll go back into Dumbledore's hand, and we'll see how Novocaine wants to swing. He's going to swing with everything he can, leaving just the Hailhawk that he created this turn, so everything else inbound. We see blocks from Dumbledore, but he doesn't realize here what Novocaine has, and that Novocaine's going to take this down 2-0 and advance into the semifinals.
That is one hell of a deck, Novocaine. What can I say? That is, I mean, it's got multiple Chrysalis, multiple fungi, and we haven't even seen half of it yet.
All right, looks like we're going to bring you another round 1 match. This is going to be Icecon versus Tepezi. Again, players in the quarterfinals trying to advance to the semifinals. All players guaranteed at least $250 today, but if you make it into the semis, then that goes up to $500. So this is a very important round for each of these players. And let's go ahead and bring you the action. Tepezi versus Icecon. Tepezi playing Puff the Rainbow, very popular champion in Limited. And Icecon playing Kalilik? Terrible name.
Kalilik. We'll go. I say Kalilik.
Kalilik? Okay. Kalilik, the favorite champion. We'll take a look at opening hands for both players. Icecon here, Double Diamond, Ruby Shard, Wax Dawn, Hailstorm, that War Priest, and a Luminaire Kindler over for Tepezi. Double Sapphire, Wild Shard, Pummel. Looks like, is that a Cocoonmancer?
That is a Cocoonmancer. My mind is blown right now. How are there 2 transform decks in this draft with Novocaine's being that good? And we see Sweeties here as well, so this looks pretty good too, but we do see Hailstorm in the hand of Icecon. Now we have Kalilik, Hailstorm, and likely a Socket Troop there with Fate Weave as well. So this is looking really good for both players.
But you are right. Like, this is really weird to see really 2 strong transformation decks like that. Tepezi's deck can looks like he can do some really crazy work here. We see Emberleaf Bladesman for Icecon. He'll display auto resource and pass the turn over to Tepezi.
And they're not necessarily two strong decks. We do see the Sweeties there, but we also see a Cadaver Beetle, and Cadaver Beetle is likely a sign that the deck wasn't fully fleshed out and some filler had to be put in there. Cadaver Beetle is a very vanilla and not very high priority card. We do see Frostblast there, another Fate Weave for that Hailstorm.
We see the Sweetie swing in for 2. Icecon are going to take this hit. Both players now at 23 health. And here comes that Cadaver Beetle for Tepezi. See that Hailhawk. Fate Weave. Going to create another Hailhawk thanks to Hailstorm.
Yep, this is a very good-looking board state for Icecon here with multiple Fate Weaves still in hand.
Puff the Rainbow going to transform. And the Sweeties will transform as well. So 2 4/4 flyers. Here comes the swing. Icecon, though, going to Frost Blast one of them. Evaporate. It's going to put it back in the hand. Another Hailhawk created as a result of the Fate Weave. Icecon deciding just to take the hit, goes to 19. Diamond Shard here.
Big stuff.
Now at
big
5.
Stuff so far. So we have, I assume, 2 Socket Troops here, both with Fate Weave. We don't know what's in them just yet, but it would make a lot of sense. We can see what the deck's going for here.
Indeed, it is Fate Weave. So that War Priest will Fate Weave create another Hailhawk. So 4 2/2 flyers for Icecon. We're going to see Evaporate, though, take one of those Hailhawks out of the way from Tepezi.
Yeah. Actually, full-on removal here because there are no Sapphire Shards in Icecon's deck that we can see. So instead of just returning it to hand briefly, it has to stay there.
Merry Butterfly going to be played out for Tepezi. That'll pass his turn. We see Flame Lick off the top for Icecon. Here comes that Luminaire Kindler. No swing thanks to that Merry Butterfly being in the way for Tepezi. It'll revert back into a Sweeties. Sapphire Shard now at 6. And here comes that Kakunamancer.
Kakunamancer there, potentially putting troops into the sky. And especially good with the Sweeties, actually, because you only need to pay 3 to get 2 Merry Butterflies in the air.
Here comes the swing with the Flight Troops and that Luminaire. We'll see a block with the Cadaver Beetle up against that Luminaire. So 6 damage to Tepezi, takes him down to 11. And we'll see that Emberleaf Swordsman or Bladesman come down for Icecon.
Very strong, actually, going in there with the Luminary to sort of make him want to block because, you know, as I was saying, with a troop on board, Tepezi here could just transform one of the troops and as a result get two Merry Butterflies this way. The only target for that Kakunamancer is that Spellsong Sweeties.
Kakunamancer swinging in, taking Icecon down to 13. And we'll go back.
Not a bad move, honestly. The Deep Freeze in hand to take out any potential blockers, plus the Pummel, means that he has a representation of exactly 13 damage next turn. And that's potentially pretty huge.
So we see a block here and then a transformation with the Kakunamancer tells that Sweeties into a Merry Butterfly. And then Deep Freeze is going to hit one of those Hailhawks. It'll now be a 4 cost. But 9 damage to Tepezi.
Taking 8 here. Unfortunately, a troop likely goes down here. Flamelick finishing off the Butterfly. But yeah. Oh, actually, no. Lethal damage. Didn't even see that.
All right, so we're going to be looking for our next match in the Cosmic Crown Showdown. Currently, right now, players are in the semifinals. We're bringing you round 1 action. Looks like we're going to be bringing you Furzin versus Steward. We haven't seen them yet in round 1, so this will be round 1 coverage for them. And here we go. So Steward playing Gur Clampclaw, and Furzin playing Torque Slamstick. I don't think I've ever played Clampclaw. Have you, Neo?
Yeah, occasionally. It can be better. Honestly, the main reason to run Torque is for cards like Arena Mutt and such things. But I mean, Gur is permanent and not temporary, so there are reasons to do it. We'll see what those reasons are. I'm sure pretty soon. Interesting though, he is also Wild and Ruby, which means that personally I can't think of a reason to run Gur, but maybe we'll see what that is.
Indeed. Let's go ahead and get into the action for both players.
Interestingly, here we see a Trishard deck from Furzin, splashing either Wild or Diamond, but we do see that Emulate in hand there, as well as a Might Makes Right, which is a constant that allows you to put the top card of your deck into play if you control the troop with the highest attack at the beginning of your turn.
Looks like a mulligan here for Steward. He'll go down to 6 cards. Looks like Arena Mutt, Fire with Fire. He'll play out a Shard of Savagery. Slow Shard, be able to pick a threshold, chooses Ruby. And turn will be back over to Furzin, finds an Initiative Wax off the top. Shard of Life will come down for a temporary resource. Looks like Wild. So Ruby, Wild, and Diamond, it looks like, for Furzin. Arena Mutt going to come down for Steward. Turn passes back to Furzin. He'll draw a Ruby Shard, play that out now at 3. And here comes that Compulsive Gambler.
Very strong card, honestly. Every time it attacks, if the top card is a resource, it gets a permanent buff of +2 attack. And it has Crush to make use of that attack as well.
So here comes that Arena Mutt after activation of Champion Power. 3 damage is going to take Furzin down to 21. And back over to Furzin. Finds Runic Avalanche. Very interesting card. Swing for 2. Steward decides to take the damage. Health total now equal. And here comes a Bruising Battler for Furzin.
Battler is the correct pronunciation.
My apologies. Battler. Here comes the swing for 11 against Furzin. That'll take him down to 10. And here comes that Jackhat. Is Jackhat? Is that what it is? Jacked. Emulate's going to come out. Along with that Initiative Wax. And Torque Slamstick's going to give Gladiator 1 to all the troops. And here comes that swing with the Gambler. Gets that buff. So 5 damage here is going to take Steward down to 16.
Awkward position, though. Taken a lot of damage already down to 10. There's a Kindler. And the stuff on the board right now is pretty huge. And there isn't enough really to deal with it. Has to chump.
Finds a resource off the top. So Furzin will play that out. And looks like Runic Avalanche. We'll see what he gets here for his hit. 1, 2, and 3. So a 3, 6-cost Rock Elemental. If he does draw a resource, he'll be able to do it again.
Yep, that is not great. He already had a 3/3 in his hand, although he didn't actually have the diamond to play it. So I suppose his choice was to play Might Makes Right and take a lot of damage, or play that Runic. So
wow,
I guess that was the right choice.
Swing here. Furzin down to 5. More importantly, though, nothing left on the field except for that Rune of Avalanche. Going to do it again here. Let's see what his hit is. 1, 2, 3. So he gets a 14-14. Much better this time. Daybreak Diviner's going to come down. We see...
Yeah, that's really huge. Oh, my word. Ebonhorn is great, but obviously we've just seen those 2 diamonds go off the top. So although Ebonhorn has the potential here to really get some health back on Furzin, he can't play it right now.
Rune Blast off the top. We see Pack Frenzy come down. 15-15 Flying Swift Strike plus a 14 Flying Troop. Furzin gonna come back and take game number 1.
One hell of a comeback. That was incredible. The Runic Avalanche there, winning the game by itself.
And that's something we don't see a lot of, at least in the constructed, is the runic mechanic being used a lot. But in limited, it's definitely has a lot of legs underneath it.
I mean, we see a lot of rune bind, but that's pretty much all there is.
So it looks like we have game 2 of that match. So we'll go ahead and bring you that. Steward versus Furzin. Furzin up 1-0. Again, players trying to make the semifinals to be at least in the $500 mark for money. Furzin looks like going to mulligan down to 6. Steward going to keep his hand here. Looks like Ruby Ice, Ruby and Wild Shards, Unstable Mutation, Vigil of the Nulzon, Luminary Kindler, and Rabid Razor Shield over for Furzin. Double Diamond Shard, a Illuminate, Frostblast, Runic Strike, and can't tell that other card in the middle. All right, let's get into it. Ruby Ice here for Furzin, going to Fate Weave. And he'll pass the turn over to Steward. Finds a Wild Shard off the top. No turn 2 play for him, so he's forced to pass things back to Furzin, his draw. Looks like he drew that Pack Frenzy. Here comes Initiate of Wax.
Looking good for both players here, honestly. Like, they both have good early plays. There's some aggression on Steward's side and some answers for that aggression on the side of Furzin. So, looking not too bad here.
Initiate of Wax going to activate. Create that Candlekin. And then he'll just pass back over to Steward. Finds a Shard of Savagery, so slow shard here. Going to play out a Ruby Shard. And we see that Vigil of Nulzon. Looks like it's socketed with double damage. So double damage, 4 damage in the air. Capable here from Steward. Furzin going to hold back. Keep that Frostblast at the ready. Here comes that Rabid Razor Shield for Steward. Going to go ahead and play out that Shard of Savagery. Slow shard, but we'll be able to choose a Threshold. And no swing here. Steward thinks there's something up. We'll just pass.
Yeah, this has the potential to be utterly insane. And unfortunately, Furzin here going straight into Steward's hand. Now that Frostblast is down, there are 5 resources open. We see the charge power. We can potentially see the pile driver on that Vigil, followed by Unstable Upgrade, followed by Fire with Fire, and that's going to be a huge swing here for almost 40 damage.
Indeed, wow. Both players doing some crazy troops, crazy numbers, and wow, what a match. Looks like we have game 3 ready. Let's go ahead and bring that for you guys. Both players 1-1. Trying to make it into the semifinals. We'll see what both players are working with here. Back over to Furzin, finds a Rune Blast off the top. He'll play at that Ruby Shard and see that Radiant Servant come down. He'll pass the turn back to Steward. Wild Shard off the top. We'll play a Wild Shard. And Verdant Mixologist. So a little bit of ramp capability there for Steward. Back to Furzin, finds a Ruby Ice off the top. We'll play a Diamond Shard. Here comes a swing in the air. No way to block, so Steward will take this hit. Go to 21.
So we see the shard come in. Is there going to be a ramp into a vigil here? There is going to be a ramp into a vigil. And yeah, Furzin maybe having some flashbacks here.
Here comes that swing for 5. No block from Steward. Steward's going to go down to 16. Here comes that Ruby Ice. Going to allow a Fate Weave. Steward, though, doesn't know that Furzin has an answer here for that Vigil. Here comes the swing. Frost Blast. Going to go ahead and take care of that Vigil of Nulzahn. So no damage dealt.
And no damage dealt, but there's another Vigil on the way.
See activation of champion power. Here comes a resource. So now at 5, and Rune Blast going to target that Vigil. So second Vigil gone. Here comes the swing. 7 damage inbound. Verdant Mixologist going to step in the way. Steward down to 14.
Strangely willing to give up that Kindler there. Jacked Hammer coming down. That's a 6-1 or a 3-4, depending on whose turn it is. Very, very strong 4-drop.
Zephyr Shaman going to come down and exhaust. The Jacked Hammer Initiated Wax come down, and Furzin will pass the turn back to Stewart. We see that swing for 6, block with the Initiative Wax, and Runic Fury here going to make it a 9-2. That crush damage going to hit Furzin. He goes down to 18.
Unfortunately, that does mean nothing else is going to be played for Stewart here, because that is a slow shard.
That Rune Blast going to take care of that Jackhammer. Here comes a swing for 5. Stewart going to fall to 7. And Furzin with Runic Strike just going to pass the turn. Draws a resource. Runic Strike doesn't have a target, so forced to go away. And here comes Jackhammer, followed by that Blight Bush.
Yeah, Stewart needs a way to get rid of this servant. If he can get rid of it, he might be okay. But right now it's an unstoppable source of damage.
Back over to Stewart. Not enough here. Not enough options. Just going to go ahead and go wide here as much as possible to stop some of this damage. She's going to pass the turn over to Furzin. His draw finds a resource. So Gladiator plus Runic Strike is going to be what it needs.
5 damage straight to the face there. You see the concede. Acknowledging the strike is enough to kill him.
And let's go ahead and move on. So currently the finals are going on. We'll probably be bringing you some round 2 matches here, Hacky. Or we'll finish up some round 1 maybe. As round 2 matches are still populating. So it looks like we're going to be bringing you Yasi versus Sadistic. Sadistic was up 1-0 over Yasi. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the opening hands for both players.
Yasi taking a beating on the mulligan there. Mulliganing down to 1 resource. It is a Fate Weave resource, though. So maybe that can go the distance. The opposing hand there doesn't actually look too great. But we do see a rather large bomb.
Yasi going to go ahead and Fate Weave and pass the turn.
Sadistic deciding that the bomb is all he needs to make this hand playable. And it's probably a fairly correct decision as well. We see another wild, so we need a resource next turn if you are in Yasi's position.
And preferably diamond, too. Yasi finds a diamond. Never didn't have it. We'll play it.
It's pretty great. And, potentially a Poppy Cakes on that next turn to make it, pretty unstoppable for the time being.
Here comes that Scion of Levantho for Sadistic. And he will pass a turn. No open resources. Nog Nog of the pack in hand for Yasi. Off the top, we see Orchidaya swinging in.
A little bit of a rocky start there for Yassi, but the Orkinayas here are able to control the draws for the foreseeable future.
Blightbark Thrall and then a Candlekin generated. Turn passes back to Yassi. Finds a resource off the top. He'll play that out. And Poppy Cake's going to come down. And a 5/5 Orchinaya swinging in. We see a chump here with that Candlekin. And that's going to do it for Yassi. Turn passes back to Sadistic. Blightbark Vampire off the top. Another Thrall comes down. Candlekin generated. Yassi finds a resource. He's going to swing with that 5/5. Double block here. And a Runic Strike. Also going to generate that Candlekin. Yassi playing out the resource. And just passes the turn back to Sadistic.
Yeah, just a case of too many cards put back in the deck there at the start, and there's a looming threat of that Frostlock on the horizon too.
6 damage with those Thralls. Going to take Yassi down to 17. He does find a resource here. So Twin-Tail Skrull Titan will join the Orchinaya on the field. Not going to swing in. And we'll pass back over to Sadistic. And activation of Champion Power. And here comes that Frostlock. Just going to totally lock down. And that's going to do it. Sadistic will take out Yassi 2-0.
Commiserations, but no one is a loser here. You still walk away with $250 if you are in bottom 4.
Yeah, still nothing to shake. It's still nothing to be ashamed at. So $250 and playing a game that you, I'm sure, enjoy and love, and being recognized for your talent. So looks like we're going to another match. This is going to be Tepezi versus IceCon. Hacky, I believe this is game 2, correct? I believe it is.
Did not 100% catch what game this is.
All right, no worries. So IceCon here up top with triple Diamond Shard, a looks like Diamond Ice. It's always hard to tell between the two when you see them at a glance up at the top there. Initiative Wax, Deathless Agent. Down here for Tepezi though, double wild, single Sapphire, weave into nothing, deep. There he goes. 2 Deep Freeze and that Spellsong Sweeties.
Yeah, no Hailstorm this time, but some okay plays on both sides.
All right, so back over to Tepezi. Finds a Bluebell Dryad off the top. Now he'll play those Spellsong Sweeties. Turn back over to IceCon. Finds a Ruby Shard off the top. Now at 2 resources. And we'll see that Initiative Wax come down. So blocker there for the Sweeties, at least for a turn or 2. Ooh, Pummel off the top, though, for Tepezi. Bluebell Dryad will join that Spellsong Sweeties. No swing in here, and Tepezi will pass back over to IceCon. Activation of Initiative Wax will create that Candlekin. Here comes down a resource, Diamond Resource, and now a Deathless Agent. Pummel here going to be activated on that Bluebell Dryad. Damage is going to be assessed. Dryad will survive that encounter, and the rest of IceCon's troops will go into the crypt.
Sweeties and Dryad both swinging in there, getting a little bit of damage through, and no other plays. We don't have the double threshold for deep threes or even to nothing, so that was interesting. But honestly, putting down the Widow when there's not really a target for it likely isn't the best course of action anyway.
You see Sapphire for Tepezy.
It just happened to me there as well. Widow going down. Gonna probably exhaust that big 5-3 there.
Seven damage.
See the charge bar?
Yep.
So holding up Weave into Nothing here. Not a bad play. Weave into Nothing is a good value here. Getting a 5-cost card for a 3-cost card. And yeah, only a Candlekin left on that board.
Another Spellsong Sweeties off the top here for Tepezy. We're going to see this swing. No block, so 6 damage assessed. Spellsong Sweetie going to come down for Tepezy. Here comes a swing for 1. Tepezy down to 22. Here comes Cage Bomb.
Cage Bomb knocking out the Dryad of all things. That's a very interesting choice.
Deep Freeze going to take out the last blocker from IceCon. Back to Tepezy, finds Evaporate, so if that wasn't enough.
Yeah, here we go for the Speed Troop. So this is going to be a total of 9 damage against 7 health. That's going to close the game.
All right, so we are going to see if we have, I guess we have one more. Yeah, so this is the third match here between IceCon and Tepezy. So we do have that ready. That was game 2. We're going to be bringing you game 3. I realized some people are talking about spike in my audio. I will take a look at that and see what the issue is. I'm going to reduce the volume a little bit on my outbound in OBS, so hopefully that will address the issue and keep it relatively low. So I apologize for that. Game 3 here, Tepezy versus IceCon. And we'll take a look at opening hands for both players. IceCon here with a good starting hand. Diamond Shard, double Ruby Shard, double Frost Blast, Luminaire Kindler, and that Brawler. For Tepezy, we see double Sapphire, triple Wild Cocoonmancer. And I'm not sure of that second card there. Hacky, if you could, or Neo, if you know what that is. Can't tell off the... There, Ruinforge Rummager. Thank you. Neo, what do you think about these hands?
I think that Tepezy might throw his hand back here, but the Rummager does... Actually, no, the Rummager makes it okay. The Rummager is a 2-cost card that lets you draw a card and discard a card, which means a resource can be switched to something else here. I really like IceCon's hand, though. It's fast. It's got a Fate Weave Shard in it, and it's got a couple of removal as well. Pretty nice stuff.
IceCon now at 2. We'll see that Brawler come out for him. 2-1 with speed. So this will take a hit to Tepezy's health total here. He'll go to 21. Rummager going to come down, so he's going to draw a card and then discard a card. Looks like he got a Beetle, Cadaver Beetle off of that.
I think it was actually the Dryad.
Oh,
the
the
Beetle
Dryad.
was
Okay.
just drawn that turn.
Here comes a swing in for 2. Tepezy deciding not to block, so we'll take that hit and go to 19. Here comes a Diamond Shard, now at 3. And we'll see the Kindler for IceCon. Here comes the swing for 2 from Tepezy. No block, so IceCon will take the hit. Still leading in health total, 23 to 19. Here comes that Bluebell Dryad for Tepezi. That'll end his turn. Ruby Shard here for Icecon. Now at 4. Going to go ahead and swing with everything. We'll see if Dryad will want to step in front of anything. Looks like no. Tepezi will take 5, go to 14.
So doesn't put the agent down, holds up Frostblast this time, wanting to get that transform gone. Doesn't want to take 4 damage here. I think taking 7 might have been okay. But next turn... Frostblast taking out the Dryad there to stop it recurring its effect with a reversion. But yeah, playing Frostblast this turn is potentially better due to the fact that the 5th resource is there and the agent can go down with the Frostblast held up.
6 damage inbound, 2 to Tepezi. Plus Wax Dawn will come down, but Weave into Nothing is going to stop that. Tepezi will Fate Weave off that Weave into Nothing. And we'll see Deep Freeze on that Luminaire Kindler, so that'll go back to his hand and increase costs. 2 damage still hitting Tepezi, bringing him down to 12. And Deathless Agent come down for Icecon to finish his turn.
Pretty good line there, honestly. Stopping that big swing at the important time and giving yourself time to get to that Kakunomancer is probably the right call. Obviously, you can play Deep Freeze for a high cost and add cost to the card that you bounce, but in this case, the Kindler is still a 3 cost.
Activation of Champion Power will allow that Fate Weave. So Deathless Agent is a 4/4. That'll swing in. No block with the Cadaver Beetle. Tepezi going to go down to 8. And here comes Luminaire Kindler back down as it's still a 5/2. Diamond Shard will come down. Frostblast still available for Icecon.
Very low health here for Tepezi, but honestly, the Kakunomancer is in now, and there isn't really a good way around this for Icecon at the moment.
We see Livant's Claw for Icecon off the top. He'll create a Candlekin due to Illuminate. And he'll pass the turn.
Yeah, things looking okay for Tepezi now. Once this Dryad is down, it means that the Kakunomancer can change something into a 4/4 and then change the Dryad into a 4/4 at a later date. And it's basically a draw combo. Every turn you can revert that draw power on that Dryad and get a new card.
So Sapphire for Tepezi now at 7. We'll see that Jack Hat Heckler come down. Now can use this ability for free. Yeah. Battles that Deathless Agent, so taking away that Fate Weave machine from Icecon.
Still has Kakunomancer transform and still has Deep Freeze as well. So very much in control of this right now.
Fate Weave Champion Power activated by Icecon. Kakunomancer going to go ahead and transform.
Get that draw power back on the Dryad.
A second Dryad for Tepezi now. Here comes the Merry Butterfly. 4 damage inbound to Icecon. That'll take him down to 13. 5 health.
Decides to take it. And we see a Sweeties in hand and a Badger. So that Kakunomancer now is going to be doing some really big things. We do see the Sharpshooter, though. That's going to be able to take out the duo over there. Only 1 defense on those guys.
Tepezi here with the Wild Resource. Spellsong Sweeties. Badger in hand. Cloud Skyrunner for Tepezi with the Spellsong Sweetie. And a Belligerent Badger. Holding up Deep Freeze in hand with only one resource remaining. Activation of Champion Power. Going to go ahead and create a Butterfly. Spellsong Sweetie is also going to turn into a Butterfly as a result of that. Swing for 4. Do we see Frost Blast here from Icecon? We do not. So he goes to 9. Tepeezy 1 health away. And 8. And we see Binding Ire here for Icecon. But that's going to do it. And Tepeezy will take out Icecon 2-1.
So regardless of what was said earlier, the second transform deck there, really not that bad at all. Has a lot of stuff that it wanted, and it could do some pretty impressive things with it.
All right, so it looks like we are going to do some Game 2 matches. This looks like Novocaine versus Furzin, and Hacky will be coming in here with Neo, so...
What is up? That's quite a bit of draft action that we just saw in round 1.
Oh, actually, I think it's me. It's me and Hacky. My apology. It's me and Hacky.
All right, Neil will be coming back for the finals, but we've got 2 matches ahead of us, and here's the first of the 2. Furzin, Torque Slamsticks. That was quite a match. Big numbers all around. Gladiator and Puff the Rainbow by Novocaine. Oh, this was this the one with the crazy potential? I know we had 2 Puff the Rainbow decks, Sapphire, Wild. Well, both looked pretty strong to this point.
All right, so let's get in on the action here. Novocaine 23 playing Puff the Rainbow, playing against Furzin as Torque Slamsticks with his Ruby Diamond deck. Let's go ahead and get in on the action here.
Do we have it up?
Yep, it's up.
All right, starting hands. Novocaine has a Belligerent Badger and a Spellsong Sweeties. A bunch of resources. It's keepable, but we'll want something to fill in that 3 or more, that mid-range sort of area. On the other side, it's a little bit similar. Ebonhorn and a Borean Leopard 3/4 can frost form to be a 3/1 steadfast. And you have that Compulsive Gambler. When it attacks, could be a 4/3. Otherwise, it's a 2/3. And Fate Weave might be able to help it. Sapphire is there. Let's see how this game plays out.
So turn 1 Badger here for Novocaine into a turn 2 Spellsong Sweeties next turn. He'll just go ahead and pass back over to Furzin. Diamond Shard and no play for him, so back over to Novocaine. Wild Shard off the top, so Novocaine definitely has resources ready to go. Going to swing in for 1. Ping Furzin. Health total's now equal between both players. Here comes that Sapphire. And here comes that Spellsong Sweeties.
This is really the extent of Novocaine's hand right now. Definitely will want to find something in the future. And still, we're probably going to see the 3/1 Steadfast Brittle Borean Leopard. Will do what it can. This might actually stop Novocaine's attack next turn.
Another resource here for Novocaine.
Furzin on the previous turn had picked up a Rune Blast. That'll be useful, but no way to reduce its cost from 5.
Swing here with the Leopard. We don't see any blocks from Novocaine. Going to take that to the face. So now at 20 health. And here comes the Compulsive Gambler.
Off the Rainbow has plenty of charges. Currently can turn the Belligerent Badger into Merry Butterfly, the Spellsong Sweeties. We'll go ahead and copy that. But after that, leaves 1 as a blocker.
4 damage and Furzin at 19. Leaves the 1 Butterfly back. Passes over to Furzin. Now at 4. Activate Champion Power. So putting Gladiator on his troops. And we'll see the swing with that Brittle Borean Leopard. Novocaine deciding not to block, so going to take that 4. And health totals going back and forth between these two players. Novocaine at 16, Furzin at 19. Initiator Wax going to create that Candlekin. And we'll see turn pass back over to Novocaine. And Runic Chrysalis off the top.
That's going to be a nice surprise. If Furzin tries to attack, we won't see it, but the potential of 2 4/4 Merry Butterflies may just happen.
Furzin with that resource now. Rune Blast is online and available. Here comes the swing. We're going to see a single block here. And then Runic Chrysalis, but in response, we see Rune Blast going to take out that Belligerent Badger. And 4 damage is going to be dealt to Novocaine. Blightbush off the top for Novocaine.
Not finding the strong cards in this deck right now, unfortunately for Novocaine. It's better than nothing. The Crush on the Compulsive Gambler, though, may become very relevant.
Furzin going to swing in here. Compulsive Gambler not getting any additional buffs. Going to do 4 damage. Novocaine now at 8. Here comes that Ebonhorn. 4/5 life drain. It's pretty good to have here.
Gambler also revealing that the next card is going to be a resource for Furzin as well.
Novocaine holding up, has a resource and Evaporate in hand. Back to Furzin. And here comes the swing, Alpha Swing, everything inbound to Novocaine.
Novocaine at least can evaporate the Compulsive Gambler. Let's not take 6 damage. Oh.
No, decides that the life drain here from the Ebonhorn, so we'll take that hit. Goes to 1, creates 2 Blight Blossoms, and here comes that Radiant Servant.
He's behind, keeps himself just alive. Just to see if this next card helps him out any. It is another shard. He'll have Runic Chrysalis trigger. He's got those 2, but not able to push damage early on. Torque just building an overwhelming board. And in fact, both players having a similar number of resources also.
All right, let's see if we can look up another round or semifinal match here.
Yeah, we'll go grab this game 2 of that match. Would Furzin up 1 game?
All right, here we go. Everything is loaded. So Furzin up 1-0 over Novocaine. Novocaine trying to force a game 3. We'll take a look at our opening hands.
There's some more of the fuel. Runic Hatchlings, Runic Chrysalis, Winter Widow, Shrink, Belligerent Badger, and the ability to play most of those. On the top, Furzin with a bit of a later plays. He's got the Daybreak Diviner, the 3-cost 3/2 that'll make a constant. Everything else a little bit more expensive. He's got the Candlelit Zealot and an Ebonhorn and the Light of Day as later game removal.
All right, let's get in on the action here between both players. Furzin looking for the win to close out Novocaine and advance to this to the finals. See Belligerent Badger for Novocaine turn 1, and we'll go back to Furzin.
For the second game in a row, we see Novocaine not really representing that much attack. A Belligerent Badger by itself was the transform target last time. If something else transforms, he gets +3/+2, +2/+1, and becomes a 3/2. Winter Widow doesn't really want to be played unless there's a target to stun.
Novocaine finding a wild shard off the top. He'll play that Sapphire now at 3. Gonna swing in here, ping for 1. Burning Ire, though, and we see Runic Chrysalis going to target that butterfly. And Burning Ire does not target Sapphire troops, so no damage dealt to either the troop or Novocaine.
Completely worth it. Especially since it stopped the incoming damage. The Daybreak Diviner creates an Arcane Alacrity. Play an action, gain a charge.
The swing here with that butterfly takes Furzen down to 18. Wild Shard for Novocaine. We'll see Runic Hatching come out, create that Hailhawk.
And at this moment, Furzen doesn't have a way to stop flight. But his troops will be rather big incoming. He's at 4 resources now. Candlelit Zealot is a potential play. Even the Ebonhorn. He also has another flight troop. Actually, he's put a Golden Griffin, 3/4 flight for 5 resources. So 1 more resource will give him a defense against flight.
Frostrock off the top for Novocaine here. So another flight troop for him. Decides to go with the Winter Widow, not Frostform, so he'll lock down the Zealot. Activation of Champion Power. Belligerent Badger, a 3/2 crushing monster here. Going to swing in with that butterfly. So 7 damage inbound. Likely not see a block. We don't. So Furzen down to 11. Ruby Eyes for Furzen. He'll be able to Fate Weave. We'll see the Initiative Wax come down. And going to go ahead and activate that ability. And looks like going to pump up the Candlekin with +1/+1. And then Gladiator 1 on all the troops.
That's allowing Daybreak Diviner to get in, do a little bit of damage. He's unable to play the 5-cost troops, but he does have 1 big piece of removal. He does have Golden Griffin. But Torque starting to take damage. This Frostrock represents another flight troop. The Runic Hatching has not popped yet, so another Hailhawk will be incoming soon. Light of Day likely targeting that Frostrock. It's 3/5. That is a hard flight to deal with.
See that Winter Widow stand in front of the Candlelight. 3 damage hit to Novocaine, now at 13. 4 health separating both players. No more resources for Furzen, so that'll end his turn. Finds Runic Chrysalis off the top for Novocaine.
Not only that, Poppy Pixie will transform something into a 6/6 Mary Squirrel. It's going to be the Belligerent Badger.
8 damage inbound. That Initiative Wax has the duty to stand in front of the squirrel. 2 damage to Furzen will take him down to 7. We're going to see Shrink on that Candlelight Zealot.
That gives it permanent -5 attack. And that's further reducing what Torque Slamsticks is able to do. He does have a Daybreak out from the Light of Day. He'll be gaining 1 health a turn.
Swing for 3. Daybreak Diviner. Going to find that Winter Widow. Ebonhorn for Furzen.
Now that's a ground blocker that'll gain Furzen back some health.
Witch of the Wishing Well for Novocaine. Interesting. Haven't seen him play that yet. 2 damage in the air, though. It's going to take Furzen down to 6.
Which is a little late for here. It's a blocker at this point. Earlier, it couldn't. While it has free attacks, would be swapping troops in and out of the hand. But right now, It's a 1-3 for 1.
There's that Golden Griffin, and now activation of champion power is going to give Gladiator to all of Furzen's troops on the board. Here comes this swing. Ebonhorn 5-5, 3-2 Candlekin, 4-2 Daybreak Diviner.
And there's not too much you can do about the Ebonhorn. That'll just cleanly deal 5 damage. Furzen will go up to 12, while Novocaine down to 8. It's dangerous. Now the Hillhawks can't get past the Golden Griffin. Even this Runic Chrysalis may or may not be enough. We're 2 charges away from the Puff of the Rainbow charged power. With that Ebonhorn, even if it were traded with, represents Torque stabilizing in this game.
Wow, Pack Frenzy off the top for Furzen.
We saw this earlier. A finishing move gives all of your troops it's the socketed power for the turn, and that is Flight and Swift Strike.
Blightbush for Novocaine. Still has Runic Chrysalis, but that Pack Frenzy can make things pretty nasty for Furzen, as we saw earlier. Going to gain a point of health for Daybreak. Here comes Ilgen. So at 16 health, double the health of Novocaine right now.
I think Furzen is planning to build up a board until the flight advantage is going to be so overwhelming. He may suspect that Runic Chrysalis is something that Novocaine is holding, or may just want to build up a board. He's got the advantage. His Daybreak. He may also be waiting to get a bunch of charges. No, he's going with a Pack Frenzy right now. We should see an attack from everything. They're all flight. Candlelit Zealot stays behind. It doesn't have the attack to do anything. Runic Chrysalis. There's no way to double trigger it, though.
No Spell Song Sweeties, unfortunately, here for Novocaine. So it's going to have to do some blocks here, but a lot of damage. Novocaine going to be taken down to 1 health. Furzen plays the last card in his hand, which is that Ruby Shard.
And he's built up a 22 health buffer. Still has a blocker there. 1 Merry Butterfly isn't going to matter in the long run. We're seeing 10 damage from Novocaine right now. And 4 blockers aren't going to be enough to stop these 4 attackers with attack. It still needs an additional source of damage. The flight troops will trade with each other. But after this turn, Golden Griffin is going to be free to attack.
Novocaine looking for an answer off the top. Finds a Winter Widow.
Stays alive.
He'll play that out. And he's going to lock down that Ebonhorn. Champion Power will create the Butterfly for the block against the Griffin. Resource for Furzen.
He has his Torque Slamsticks power, but it's still not going to be enough to push 1 damage this turn.
Resource for Novocaine. That's not going to do it. And Furzen will take that down 2-0.
That is Furzen in the finals. But that is only one of our finalists. We've got a second finalist to find. And that will bring us to the other side of the semifinals.
So we're going to be bringing you the other semifinals match. This is going to be Tepezi versus Sadistic. So Tepezi versus Sadistic.
Torque, Slamsticks, Diamond, and Ruby is one side of the finals. We have Pharamedes and Puff the Rainbow as our potential on the other side.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the hands for both players. Tepezi again playing Puff the Rainbow. Sadistic playing Pharamedes. Hacky, break these hands down for us.
All right. Sadistic has the Frostlock for late game blowouts, void 3 things as long as that constant stays on the field. Only has a Acolyte of Zentoth that'll help Fate Weave though. Has a turn 2 play, but otherwise has some Death Cry to put on this. And Puff the Rainbow has no wild yet, but otherwise Bluebell Dryad, Runeforge Ramager to help draw discard. Jethack Heckler is such a bomb. Just a repeatable battle, repeatable removal is always super strong. But it is double wild threshold. And both players are keeping his hand, so we'll see if Tepezy can get to that wild threshold.
Tepezy does have that Runeforge Ramager, so he'll be able to draw a card and discard if it comes to that. Does find a resource here. We'll play the Ramager. Draws a Spellsong Sweeties. Gets rid of that Cadaver Beetle.
As Puff the Rainbow, the Spellsong Sweeties much more valuable.
Acolyte of Zentoth with Fate Weave for Sadistic. So he'll be able to place either random resource or random non-resource on top of it.
He's probably choosing a non-resource here, although he might choose a resource if his plan is to get to Frostlock. He has all his resources at the moment.
Looks like it was a resource for Sadistic.
And he also picks up his Scales of Twilight, which is a 6-cost artifact. So both players having potential repeatable removal. Bluebell Dryad enables a super combo here.
8 damage in the air from Tepezy. Sadistic down to 15.
Spellsong Sweeties turns into a butterfly. Bluebell Dryad draws a card. It is good stuff.
Another Fate Weave Acolyte of Zentoth for Sadistic. Weave into nothing off the top for Tepezy. Wild Shard will come down. Here comes Runic Catching, so that'll create a Hailhawk.
Nothing really can get past the Acolytes of Zentoth. And Bluebell Dryad may be able to attack, but Tepezy may have another plan for that. But these Acolytes of Zentoth are rather big now.
A 3/3 and a 3/5. Not too bad. Cocoonmancer for Tepezy, if he gets that online, can definitely create that fight value that he's looking for.
That's quite a limited bomb. And to see it here, we saw it do work in round 1.
Weave into nothing on the scales. Sorry, Sadistic. Tepezy says you are not going to be able to use that this game.
Well, that's all right, because there's only one interrupt, and there are multiple cards that Sadistic still has.
Swing in the air. Going to do 2 points of damage. Sadistic down to 11.
This is likely to be close. Cocoonmancer will be making tons of Merry Butterflies next turn.
Unfortunately, Frostlock is going to take care of that.
Suddenly, the board not so threatening anymore. Does still leave 1 Hailhawk, so 2 damage a turn can be done to Sadistic. We're going to see an attack here. Paramedes down to 9 health. Puff the Rainbow still at a healthy 23.
Yeah, can easily take some damage and be okay. Guidance for Sadistic. Finds an Ebonhorn. So 4/1 life drain on the board. He's going to start swinging with one of those Acolytes, so 3 damage in. Tepezy just going to take it. Goes to 20. Still more than double the health of Sadistic. Deep Freeze for Tepezy. We're going to see Evaporate. And then the Jackhat Heckler come down. Followed by Deep Freeze. Wow.
Just bounce the board and attack in.
Wow.
That will be the damage needed. And a victory for Puff the Rainbow over Paramedes in game number 1. 1 game away from those finals for Tepezy. Sadistic needs to win 2 in a row to claim that finals spot.
All right, so game 2, Sadistic versus Tepezy. And Tepezy with that deck, man. This is brutal. We're going to go ahead and load that up and bring you that game. All right, so Tepezy up 1-0 over Sadistic. We'll take a look at our players' hands, see what they're working with, and get on with the action.
All right, players are drawing ices. Ices mean fate weaves. Fate weaves mean a 2-shard hand is effectively a 4-shard hand, and that comfort is nice, especially given that Dark of Night, Runic Decay, Blightbark Vampire, and a couple of 2-drops. Sadistic looks in good shape for a solid hand, especially with that removal. On the top, you have Pummel, this Cadaver Beetle that's just been there, like perhaps a discard for the Runeforge Rummager once again. Pummel and Bluebell Dryad to get some card advantage.
All right, let's get in on the action. Can Tepezy close it out and make it into the finals? Or Sadistic going to force that game 3? Let's see here. So both players playing their first bit of resources. Sadistic finds a diamond shard off the top. We'll play that, and we'll see that Initiate come down.
That'll let him get some stuff out on curve. Not super important at the moment, but you never know when that 1 damage will matter.
Tepezy going to play that Rummager, so draw a card and discard. Looks like getting rid of a resource. Blood Shard for Sadistic. We'll see a swing for 1. Rummager not stepping in the way. Going to go ahead and create that Candlekin. And a Blood Shard comes down, and we'll see that Acolyte of Zentoth and Fate Weave for Sadistic. Bluebell Dryad for Tepezy. And looks like that's it. Back to Sadistic. Finds a Shard of Retribution. He'll go ahead and play that Blood Ice to Fate Weave. No other play, and we'll just pass back to Tepezy.
Sadistic's ordering of shards meant that he couldn't play a 4-cost this turn. He could have had Blightbark Vampire, perhaps, but then he wouldn't have the Acolyte of Zentoth. Would have considered the Fate Weave shard last turn.
Here comes that swing for 4. Sadistic down to 19. Jackhat Heckler comes down. Going to activate that ability and kill that Zentoth with the Butterfly.
Easy removal, repeatable, especially if he has more bigger troops. Runic Decay. Takes care of that Jackhat Heckler.
Back over to Tepezy. Troop reverts from its butterfly form back to Rummager. Now at 5. We'll see the Dryad come in. Double block here. And Pummel. Going to give a little bit of extra damage. And Crush. That's going to take Sadistic down to 19. Dryad will stay alive. And we'll see that Blightseed feeder for Tepezy to end his turn.
That was a big combat trick by Tepezy. Sadistic didn't have too much of a board to begin with. Initiative Wax and that Candlekin not representing too much, and being able to take out those blockers and get a big chunk of damage is pretty good.
Netherbloom receiving the champion power treatment from Sadistic. Back over to Tepezy. You see Hailhawk as a result of Runic Hatching. Back to Sadistic, Blight Bestowed.
It is 6 defense, and Tepezy has 7 attack worth of troops. If he decided to, he could block all of that. Decides to just take this damage.
Vampire getting Deep Freeze back into his hand, so removing the flight blocker there. So going to take 7 damage. Sadistic down to 14. Spellsong Sweeties now on the board for Tepezy, as well as that Bluebell Dryad. So things are looking pretty good here for Tepezy.
There's not a transform on board, though, so that can't combo quite yet. And Sadistic perhaps holding that Dark of Night for a big bomb to come.
Here comes that Winter Widow in Brittle form. Going to lock down the 5-6. Here comes everything else. We see the block with the Vampire against the Dryad, but Sadistic down to 5, and here comes a Cadaver Beetle, and Sadistic with only 1 troop on the board, and Dark of Night does find Scales of Twilight, but finds that that's not going to be enough. Tepeezy will take this down 2-0.
No, the swarm of troops, way too much for Sadistic. The removal in hand, but not enough to stand in front of the Wild and Sapphire troops.
So that will bring us to the finals between Furzin and Tepeezy.
That means we only have 1 match left in the Cosmic Crown Showdown. One of these two will walk away with $2,000 and a super sweet sleeve, which we know is the real prize. The other has already guaranteed themselves $1,000 for making it this far.
All right, here we go. Tepeezy and Furzin in the finals. Winner will walk away with $2,000 and an animated Cosmic Crown Showdown sleeve. Runner-up will walk away with still a very nice prize of $1,000. Neo and Hacky, take it away.
What do we see, Neo?
We see some mulliganing going on there. We see a Rhyme Claw, a Daybreak Diviner, a Pack Frenzy, a Runic Strike, a Jewel Shard, Diamond, Wild, a Ruby, and a Diamond for Furzin. And we see 2 Dryad, a Deep Freeze, a Widow, a Sapphire Shard, and a Sapphire Wild Jewel there.
4-shard hand. Tepeezy's 10 looked to be playing a more control-enabled Sapphire and Wild, yet winning with just a bunch of value troops.
Yep, and worth noting here, both players here, one with a bronze plinth and one with a gold plinth. So they're not quite up there in constructed just yet. And we have...
That would be their current season. It's limited, right?
Right, yep. Mm-hmm. Furzin obviously cracking out the constructed games already, and Tepeezy's just been relaxing. We see that first shard go down for a Wild. And a Wild played on the other side too. We see an Initiate of Wax drawn and a Diamond played. And the Initiate of Wax is the card that goes in. Could have played the Rhyme Claw there, but the Initiate of Wax is the better troop for the resources. We see the Badger go in. And the Widow. Widow will exhaust that Initiate of Wax for this turn.
That Pack Frenzy that Furzin is holding, socketed with Flight and Swift Strike, has been a game ender.
Yeah, we saw it do some real work with the Avalanche earlier on too. Dryad comes down, and we see an Arcane Alacrity there off of the Diviner. Not terrible, honestly. Torque Slamstick's getting more charges is probably a good thing. Almost definitely a good thing.
Tepeezy is going to get 2 draws out. There's no removal to interrupt that, but gets a torque power and an attack in for 6.
Some good damage early on in the game here. We do see a second Dryad in hand here for Tepeezy. And that's going to mean that this transform on this Widow is going to be incredible value. A 4/4 to attack with a 3/2 with Crush on the transform and 2 card draws. Very, very strong use of the charge power there.
Rhymeclaw chooses not to use its invincibility power.
I wonder if that was a mistake. Doesn't seem to be a good reason to not use it there.
We'll see if that ends up being instrumental for this. Another attack from the Daybreak Diviner. Tepeezy down to 14. An attack back. Looks like a double block onto the Bluebell Dryad.
Fiddler comes in, and Weave into Nothing is going to be held here. We see the Ruby Eyes go down. We don't know what that's chosen just yet, but likely it's going to be a non-resource.
Furzin's board isn't currently worth that Pack Frenzy. He hasn't gotten too much damage done yet. Deep Freeze will bounce the Daybreak Diviner. That means another free 1-cost constant, though.
It does, and the candle here is going to block and try to take it out with a Runic Strike, but the Weave into Nothing is still live, which means that that's a dead Candlekin and an alive Badger. Light of Day's a not bad pickup.
That Weave into Nothing could have hit quite a bit more. I mean, that saves the Badger, and it does have Crush. And Fearsden at 11 health, that Crush damage every little bit may help. But there could have been larger interrupts that could have done. But it could be the correct play at the time.
We see the full swing into a block and 4 damage, and then the hatching played afterwards for a 2/2 flyer. The Diviner there making another Alacrity, which is quite interesting. The Hailhawk there getting sucked off into the void. And then a resource draw and a concede.
Just not enough to stop that. Pack Frenzy does need a board to really take advantage, and that board was continually whittled down by Tepezy.
Definitely, we've seen that card do some work so far, but without troops, it's not great. So this could be the final game. Can Ferzan bring it back? Can Tepezy take home the gold?
Starting hands are drawn. Ferzan will be on the play again.
An interesting selection of cards there. Runic Missile, Emulate, and Runic Avalanche. We have seen that Avalanche be quite potent in the past, but again, that double Dryad, turning that charge power from a simple transform into a +2/+1 crush, draw 2. Very strong if another troop comes off. Very strong anyway, really.
Start this match off. That Runic Missile will be very useful, as it will likely be able to kill that Badger before it can get a lot of that value. And there's a bunch of 1 defense troops that the Wild and Sapphire tends to play. So if that was reserves, a smart pick.
Yeah, killing the Badger here is actually pretty good if no other troops come off, because when you have 2 Dryad, you're not going to use the charge power, or you're not going to want to use the charge power on one of them, because then you don't get that draw because it's transformed into something which doesn't have that power. So this is actually potentially slowing down Tepezy a reasonable amount here. We see the Leopard swing in for 3 unopposed.
It's Steadfast too. If it needs to block, it can.
Sweeties picked up there, and Sweeties are played. Interestingly, there's an interaction here which I quite enjoy. If you emulate something else while the Sweeties is on the board, the Sweeties will also transform into an emu at the same time, which is a small downside to the power of Sweeties, but cool nonetheless.
Sweeties emulates whatever it can.
It does. And this is the perfect opportunity, getting rid of that Dryad and that Sweeties in one fell swoop with an Emulate. Let's see if it goes off here. Opts not to play it. That is incredibly surprising to me.
I think he's just opting to Rune Blast the Spellsong Sweeties in response to the Puff charge power. Using up the charges. Leaves the Bluebell Dryads there, though.
Yeah, so nothing really done there other than getting rid of that Sweeties. But as I say, the Emulate would have forced the Sweeties to become an emu as well. So even though the revert of the Puff the Rainbow could have got one of those things back, the Emulate would have met its mark if it were used last turn.
Emulate having the side effect of allowing Bluebell Dryad to draw Tepezy a card. Here's the Avalanche. A 6/6 Rock Elemental isn't bad. Shard drawn. 1 damage to Tepezi. He's down to 16. Burning Ire has no target. Can only target wild troops. That's a good target, though. Unfortunately, not enough resources for it. So Cocoonimancer is gigantic. It'll go battle a thing. It's going to go make Spellsong Sweeties into a butterfly. Get in for 4.
Yeah, it's a real shame he didn't have enough for that Burning Ire there, because the Cocoonimancer would have met its maker. We see Initiate of Wax off the top, the 6/6 swinging in, which is not terrible, honestly. 6 damage here is pretty relevant, but we do see, of course, the Cocoonimancer able to now draw a card every turn off of that Dryad if nothing else is played.
Not to mention that Emu is going to turn back into a Bluebell Dryad as well. Hand dump by Tepezi. Lots of scary stuff. Scary stuff because they'll turn into Merry Butterflies eventually. Big attack. The elemental is down, so Cocoonimancer forces a Candlekin chump block.
Live Day's a big deal here. The Cocoonimancer. Oh, it doesn't have the threshold to be played. Okay, so Live Day would have been amazing, but unfortunately, the threshold.
Not finding that diamond.
Double draw and a double concede, and that means we have a winner.
Our winner is Tepezi. Congratulations, Tepezi. Sapphire and Wild getting there.
Yeah,
very surprising.
It down. Really, really good.
We did see the strength of the other Sapphire Wild deck earlier on, so the fact that 2 of them were so strong means that the packs were very much in the favor of those players there.
But overall, good showing from our top 8 players. They all did very well. They all made it from day one into this, so they're all walking away with some money. Some more than others, though. But again, congratulations to Tepezi on his win.
Yep. Very well played, and congratulations on your new sleeves. You know, money doesn't matter. Sleeves matter. I will stand by that.
What's the value you put on striking fear in the hearts of the constructed players that you sleeve against?
There is no value that can be placed on that. It would be so much money that no one could afford it.
Well, any final thoughts, guys, before we close out the stream today?
Just good to see some of the decks people brought out, honestly. It was an interesting day yesterday. And I really enjoyed seeing some of the new brews that people had. They didn't quite make it there this time. But it was good innovation all around, I think.
Hacky?
As always, the Cosmic Crown Showdown, a great time to watch. By this time in 2 months, there's a very good chance that we're going to see things be completely different, and that's exciting. So I look forward to all the players that qualify, whether we're in this CCS or maybe a future player. We'll see you next time.
All right, so thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, the Bash and the Clash are still going on every weekend. So constructed, whether you're a constructed player or limited player, those are your other tournaments, and they happen every single weekend. $1,000 cash tournaments brought to you by Hex. So make sure you guys check those out. Other than that, on behalf of Neo, Hacky, and myself, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Good night.